Moxley sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Barr FTF Cup Series.
Into the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag.
Here comes Vargas down on the 8th. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordan Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they're going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas.
Get your front there.
He's got it. He's got it. Right there. No.
Canvas is going to win.
The battle for the WINSTEL Cup makes its way to Darlington, to the place they call Too Tough to Tame. Today, the top drivers in the series look to see if they can conquer this specific circuit in the battle for the 2003 Series Championship here on FTF.GG. Good evening, everyone. Justin Prince, David Kreutz with you. Zach Johnson producing as we get set to go racing from South Carolina. And David, the field expect to be intense. 39 strong, all ready to battle it out.
It's a fantastic field looking to, of course, the lady in black, Darlington, South Carolina, and after a great showing at Watkins Glen, we'll take it down south for more intense racing. Gen 4s in the real world have seen some amazing races with this specific combination, and I wouldn't expect anything different as we head to it in the virtual realm. Drivers are already rolling off. Your starting grid has been set, so Justin, heading into this one, what should we be following through with? Of course, as viewers of this race, what's big coming into it?
Well, the big thing is the championship fight. Towerhead, Zach Campbell, the two drivers with the best chance for the championship. 25 points their difference. Jose Solis Jr. one race back entering the night, 199 back, 200 points Christian Budd. James Holzer 210. Bad news, though, for that championship fight. Zach Campbell did not make tonight's race. He is unable to claim another drop round. Series points utilized the final drop of the season after the conclusion of 17 races. So a bad break for the Joe Gibbs Racing 20 machine entering tonight. So as we get set for tonight, let's get ready for your starting grid. 39 cars, 55 laps. Here's how they start. Jose Solis Jr. once again on the pole tonight. He has a huge chance to close up the points gap with Kyle Benson putting up his best run of the year in second. Chris Jampo can say the same from third alongside Alex Koenigks, with Gabriel Mauricio and James Holzer amongst your top 6. Larry Pace led the way much of final practice. He starts inside the top 10 in his part-time schedule. Alexander Robertson butts the top 10. How as well as Lewandowski inside the top 12. Lewandowski tried strategy at the Brickyard. The Hendrick cars at Pellick and Doucette in row 7. Jeffrey McClintock starts alongside Brendan McGee, but Jonathan Hernandez and Ali Osman looking to make his wait for points for 19th. 19th spot tonight, James Bowles, Craig Lawton Slaughter with Timothy Latham and Steve Guthier. Evan Locke, as well as Brendan Cruz-Matzavice at the back of the grid. The last 3 drivers to take times include Christina Ryan, Alex Bates, and Tyler Murray. Towerhead did not set a time. He'll start 28th after one lap quali. Same can be said for Bob Ryan and Brandon McKissick. Andy Trupiano, also the same. Philip Snipes will start at the end of the longest line. Crampton and Zire, Krolbach and Hayward, as well as Ken Huff, Matt Skipper, and Hayden Reapez, your starting grid here from Darlington. So the field all set to go for WINSTEL's version of the Southern 500. It's the RCR car of Solis Jr. in control. Green flag is out, we're underway from Darlington. And we're wrecking already. Tyler Murray hard to the inside. No contact to the wall. They keep rumbling 2 by 2 into the corner.
And a great save there to get this one going. That's going to keep us under green. Double file for the majority of the pack and already up in front. Jose Solis Jr. making the most of the opportunity. He knows if he wants any chance at the championship, tonight has to be perfect. So leading is about the best thing you can do. As he comes around 3 and 4, he'll be the man at the front of the board. Keeps that number 29 on top. Just like that, he's got the race lead, and as you mentioned, Tyler Head's going to have to claw through the field, finds himself now in the 24th position. Looks like between who could be our 2 championship leaders, one's clearly got the edge so far.
There goes Olivia Hayward, by the way. They started off from the pit lane for tonight's race. Downside is that's in the heart of the pack for traffic. Oh, wow. Kyle Benson trying to keep the pressure up. Holzer already on the charge, up 2 spots. That 91 car amongst those expected to do very well tonight. They've done well here in the past in other types of cars.
And Holzer still looking to bring home that first win on the season, as you mentioned. Very consistent so far. 6 top 5s coming in this one, 11 top 10s.
Trouble.
And as it stands, we got trouble.
It's turn 1 and 2. Alex Bates, another trouble spot. TJ Crampton involved. Lavik Zaire. Olivia Hayward having to come to a stop. And Ken Huff with some damage in the RCR Chevrolet. We're under caution for the first time already. And it's worth noting they had extra practice time to make sure drivers were ready, partly because of reasons like this.
And taking a look back on that incident, just a big stack up there. You can see the net zero machine going around. The number 10 gets caught up in it. Multiple drivers going to end up at the back of the field. You saw Alex Bates in that Valvoline machine. Taking another look at it, it's just going to be drivers getting a bit squirrely, making contact and piling through.
Try to get underneath the 43 of Matt Skipper there. Alex Bates claiming responsibility for the caution flag. Already several drivers significantly damaged here in the early going. It's important to mention there was an adjustment in terms of the rule policy involving incident points after last week, where to make it fair for drivers, if you claim a caution, but you are actually not at fault, they don't penalize you for having that caution caused. So in our words, it makes sure you're not at risk of getting, say, suspensions or strikes for incidents you didn't actually cause.
And it looks like after that incident, you could see pit road going to be packed by quite a few drivers already. Some in the back of the field looking to cut loose, get extra tires, and unlimited sets in this series. So drivers can do whatever they wish when it comes to that. If you don't have track position, why not get an advantage? Get the fresh Goodyear rubber and go from there. You're seeing right now multiple drivers in the back of the field going for that. Matt Skipper going to be one of those on the way. Brandon Cruz, Philip Snipes. Looks like it's going to be Alex Bates and Hayden Rebos following through. And right now, it looks like the first of those are already on their way.
Keep in mind that the fuel window for tonight's race originally estimated to be around up to 35 laps. So that could get interesting if we get cautions, precautions. The track temperature we haven't touched upon too much yet. Just like the points battle is getting very hot out, especially since the temperatures are in the 130s today. 132 that track temp. It's going to be loose the whole entire race since it's a mid-afternoon start.
That's going to be risky for drivers to keep on these tires. Of course, right now, we didn't have a long green flag run. We're back under yellow immediately, and it's 6 laps in. But if we get a green flag run from this point onward, drivers are going to be working their equipment. It's going to get very, very loose, as you mentioned, and that might end up causing problems. Some drivers might have to fall down the order to avoid a caution, or worse, we'll see another come into play.
Still expecting our pace lap before we get the one to go signal here. It's worth mentioning Tyler Head and Bob Bryan. They were both drivers who did really well in final practice. Tyler Head in 3rd, Bob Bryan amongst the top 10. When it comes to Tyler Head, of course the points leader. When it comes to Bob Bryan, lots of eNASCAR experience. In fact, ran to the Coke Series at one point for what was at the time Parker Klugerman's organization. And he originally started off as technically a spotter for this series before saying, you know what, let's join on in for the past couple months.
And for one, Bob Bryan, of course, a veteran, as you mentioned, so wherever he goes in the oval scene, he is sure to compete. And it looks like ever since he came into this series as a racer, it's been nothing but the same. I would expect to see him continuing to get up the ladder here, and I think if there's more green flag time, he might be one of the guys with a bit more speed as the race goes on.
See how things play out. It was amongst the drivers who picked up an incident point in qualifying, hence why they start towards the back. Just about all set for the restart. One to go signal taken. Solis Jr., Benson, Kolodix, Holzer, the top 4. Chris Ciampo, who did well at Bristol earlier this year, remember, in the top 5. Mauricio, Pace, Alexander, Robertson, Bud, amongst your top 10. So we're going to have at least a couple lap cars to the inside to start off this restart. That can make it a little tricky since it is double file with the older style restarts. Lap cars to the inside and the lead lap cars to the outside.
And all drivers going to be taken up top, so very little in terms of variation these guys can immediately deliver on. But I'm sure that the restart, if you get the good, of course, turnout with the engine, get it all worked out just fine, that's where the advantage comes in. And as the restart will come this time through, first of the day, the green flag is going to wave, and yet again, Jose Solis leads us to it.
Ken Huff just about comes to a stop to let the leaders go, all while Kolonix not about to send for second. Kyle Benson holds on to the spot for now. Very tight to the wall. Chris Champo, a poor launch, already losing a couple spots.
That's the launch you got to think about when it comes to these restarts, when everyone's lined up in the same order. Of course, it's going to be tricky. If you even mess up just a bit, a few tenths of a second can cost you quite a few positions. Right now, the guys on the podium haven't made much difference, and it looks like they had the best restarts of all, already beginning to separate themselves from the remainder of the pack as most drivers continue in this one line.
That's almost the trend, though, when it comes to Darlington. It's so tricky to go side by side, especially with this car chassis, because if you go side by side too long, you lose time, or you potentially bounce off each other, or in the case of turn one, you can't go side by side.
It's been said before, this track is a groove and a half. Most drivers not able to utilize anything but the top. The more banking, the better here at Darlington. So if you got that track position, it's very challenging for someone behind you to really steal it without you making a mistake. One mistake going to be maybe on Kolonix. He'll get his first Darlington stripe of the day, and a few drivers follow suit right behind him. That's another signature aspect of this track, and it looks like a few drivers experiencing it firsthand for the first time.
So, nearly a Darlington stripe. It's on the fender and not the door, however, for the PPI car. Expecting a fair few amount of those tonight. And the thing is, you pick up damage in the wrong spot with these cars, even with the new damage model, you can do a lot more than just scrape the Darlington stripe. Kyle Benson bounces off the wall and adds a stripe and nearly wrecks the car doing so. Move Benson back to 7th.
And that's a much more extreme example of what we saw in the lap before, and it's going to be the driver, of course, further up in the podium experiencing it. Now going to be a brand new battle for the second spot. Alex Kolonix going to be right there with James Holzer. James going to be able to take it down to the bottom side, just trying to work that low groove, but it's a risk. And it looks like for now, not going to be clear. He'll have to file back into line. It was an opportunity. He took it, but it doesn't look like it's going to pay off, at least for the moment.
This allowing Solis Jr. to just run away early, 1.3 seconds. That's going to be the major difficult balancing act, you'd have to think, David. Because is it too much to try and run away from the field? Do you burn up your tires too much? There's so much you have to consider. Even in the battles like this, there goes the give and take.
And it looks like it's going to be a huge send down to the bottom. James Holtz are going to take it just like that. Side by side, just behind two, you're going to see it's going to be between now Chris Champo, and it looks to be just behind him, the driver of the 38, Kyle Benson, making a move down to the bottom side again. So it looks like Benson's hungry to get those spots back. He's not happy at all with the situation that just transpired. He's looking to recover and recover quick as the field's getting into a bit of a rhythm now. That's going to put him at a disadvantage, especially with what could be some major right side damage.
Yeah, over the radio can say Larry Pace had been communicating about how tight it had been getting there. Still able to keep to the track position, and our driver with some experience with the NASCAR organizations. But how about Champo? Champo, it's been a struggle in some cases for the two machine. 18th in points, however, still yet to get a top 5 on the campaign, but came close a couple times. Bristol comes to mind, for example, earlier in the season, had early speed. Now the caution is out down the front straightaway. 26th place, James Bowles, the 99 around. And we're under yellow, and so are several more.
And another spin there. That's going to be the number 45 of Jeffrey McClintock, and it looks like he will be able to lock it down. McClintock there gets it going, and it looks like it's a huge spin for multiple drivers. Second caution on the day as we look to take a rewind back.
Big sigh of frustration coming from the Roush Racing 99. Let's take a look. Watch the outside.
There's definitely reason for frustration there. Felt he was holding his own line, then ends up in the wall. Multiple drivers to get caught up in it. Just like that, a chain reaction from one piece of contact, it ends up involving multiple drivers down the entirety of the front straightaway. How about that?
Claim caution already from Gauthier. Siren taking the secondary claim. Anthony Krolbach also involved. And yeah, that's a big loss in track position, but this is a big lapse in, what's through the windshield maybe?
And at that point, I'm just not sure if that should be happening. I mean, everyone should be backing it down at that point. Look at the caution lights were on. So it's got another situation that just transpires immediately after. The first incident's one thing. When drivers continue to get involved with incidents, that is another. Now drivers get a chance to maybe get some damage repaired. No fast repairs, mind you, but still coming down to pit road all the same. As you'll see, your former leader is going to make it down in. Jose Salas Jr. at the pole position stall makes it through.
How big the tire wear can be at this track, not a surprise to see stops early. But a WINSTEL staple, drivers taking 2 tires at tracks where you don't expect it. Thomas Lewandowski is always one to expect on different strats. He leads them off pit lane because of a 2-tire call, David.
And a fantastic jump in track position for Lewandowski, and he's got the experience to try out these different strategies and see whether or not they work. He gets the jump in terms of position very quickly, so with still more than half the race remaining, why not? You're going down the Boeing backstretch, you've got this new set of Goodyear rubber on one side. That's still much better than those just ahead of you, where they've got 17 laps worth of wear and tear on over 130-degree track temperatures worth of wear and tear. That's a lot. Even at one side of tire, it could mean a major difference, and who knows, if we continue to see yellow flags, it might be the winning strategy if all goes to plan for Lewandowski.
The major roll of the dice here, you'd have to think, though, that top 4. We haven't ran too many green flag laps, but Holzer, Kolinix, Mauricio, and Ciampo all electing to stay out. At Darlington, that could be a risk.
I'm just not quite sure what they're going to decide to do now. Very few drivers opt to stay out this time. It's not like the first caution where the majority of the field still said, we're fine with what we got. Not at all. I mean, Holzer's got some buffer, but for guys like Kolinix, Mauricio, and especially Chris Ciampo, you're already there in the thick of it. You're going to be battling with drivers with much newer tires. They're going to be going at much quicker speeds. I just don't think it's going to work out in the long term, let alone the short term, for the drivers who choose not to go in.
And that's the reason I say that is, it's something when it's to gain track position, try something different if you're the mid-pack and then gain 10 spots. Every driver who's on this strategy had already been inside the top 10, if not in the top 5. So we'll see how this works out. Coming up to the 1-to-go signal, this upcoming time by. Keep in mind, it is now a fuel mileage race for those who just came down even, because the max window is about 35 laps. The run expected to be about 35, 36 laps. Gonna be tight.
That's, of course, if we do go all the way under green. Still a chance we do, that's for certain. So, in that case, drivers might be trying to save under yellow. Otherwise, they should be good to go all throughout. For drivers like Holzer and those who have stayed out, for certain they've got to come in one more time. It would be worst for them, not only if they get shuffled back through the field, but if they have to go down to pit road during this run. That would really take them out of the fight here, and with so many drivers coming tonight, we've got 38 drivers still racing. That's going to really put you down, especially if you're fighting for points. The situation drivers are in, we've got drivers, of course, like James Holzer up in the top 5 in the championship standings. You don't want to lose that based on one strategy call deep into the championship hunt. Maybe it'll work, but it's a big risk to be taken so early in.
James Holzer currently being warned about the staggering from the outside wall by race control. Several drivers still catching up to the field for the green flag. 36 laps to go. And here we go with the moves. Lewandowski a better launch. Big tire spin for the top 4. And here comes nervous time. Solis Jr. nearly bobbles up into the heart of the pack.
And the pressure's already put on. You can see Lewandowski get that fantastic jump and puts himself into the picture immediately. He wants to dispose of these drivers as quick as he can, and he knows that he's already cutting through. He's going to cut through one and make it up into the third place, and now he's got a bit of a buffer himself. Lewandowski making the call to get that aggressive launch, and it's saving him a lot right now. It looks like he's only got 2 more drivers to go through if he wants that lead for himself.
Chris Champo, though, Munstle's already getting shuffled back for the strategy call. Stuck on the top side. There goes Pace, there goes Benson. And it's a major risk, even when you consider the fuel strategy game of it, to stay out like this, unless you're hoping for a quick caution and having fresher tires than the rest of the field, you have to think.
And that's got to be what ran through the minds of those who stayed out on the track. Granted, Holzer and Collins are still first and second, respectively. Gabriel Maruscio is still holding on in fourth, but Chris Champo is down into 10th. He's the biggest loser of this strategy run so far.
Trouble, turn 2. Lewandowski in the wall, across the nose. A Koenig's caution flag is out as Chris Champo crashes down the straightaway.
And even with the caution they needed, Champo's involved. Further driver is going to be spinning. And you said it, it looks like Lewandowski's strategy call might have been a bit too risky, involved in this yellow flag.
This got ugly very quick in a couple spots. Here's Timothy Latham. This was the back of the field. That wasn't the reason for the caution, obviously. It was the battle for second that got ugly right here.
Lewandowski ends up locking in side by side there, and that's what's going to cause this one. Alex Collins does not let off, and he's trying to keep the position for himself. Eventually going to cost them both big. A few other drivers get caught up in the mess. 2 Penske machines, as a matter of fact. They'll both get it going, and thankfully it doesn't look like major damage for the number 12. We saw Chris Champo, again, not only losing position, but losing control. He ended up square on the wall.
There's Bob Bryant, by the way, who got into the back end of him. As to be expected, the drivers who stayed out there, for the most part, coming in this time by. So there goes all the track position. Is that going to be a big enough difference, about 4 or 5 laps on the tires, to make up all the spots they just threw out?
It might just be better than running it green, but that is a big question, especially with drivers now staying out. That was another short run. There's going to be a huge buffer to the drivers like now your new race leader in Nicholas Doucette, Jose Salas, and Larry Pace. They've got some 15, 20, 25 drivers they can work with behind to keep those who just went in at bay. Unless you've got a clearly quicker car, you're able to just drive it better around the lady in black. I'm not quite sure what these drivers can do besides wait it out.
By the way, some of your biggest movers now in this field as a result of this caution flag of note. Bob Bryant, with the incident, currently scored up 22 spots. We'll see what happens involving the 0-2. There's also a plus 21, Brandon McKissick. And for McKissick, it's been a part-time run throughout the campaign. But every time, as we talked about with McKissick, he's been on the track. Guess what? He's been in conversation for a win, 3 top 5s, and a victory, after all, in Las Vegas.
Avoiding wrecks a big way to get up there in the conversation for the win. Huge gains already in the single digits. That's exactly what you got to do if you're McKissick right now. Just keep running your race. Looks like so far for him it's worked out quite well, making up all those positions very quickly. As long as that car stays clean, the Havoline machine's got a shot at the end of the day to go for his 4th top 5 of the season.
And to be expected, massive fuel saving under this caution period. Lots of clutch and coasting, lots of 4th gear being ridden around at the moment. In your opinion, what's the best way you've experienced drivers saving fuel in your broadcast experience, and why with this car?
When it comes to the next gens, I would go with the way I've always saved in terms of oval racing myself. The clutch does a huge amount. But what I'm not seeing right now, especially with the front drivers, is drivers are not taking it down to the apron big. It looks like they're all staying up high right now. They don't want to risk it, get involved with any shenanigans. You'll see, even if you're trying to save it, stay there on the groove and just let the momentum, even off the banking, carry you down at a slower speed. Nobody else trying to change this. Justin, we got some word from pit road.
Ken Huff, who is 38th, well, came down pit road, picked some damage repair. Right now it looks fine. Here's the thing. They wrecked off pit road at the cone.
That's about the worst thing you can do under a caution. I'm not quite sure if it could get any more unfortunate or upsetting as we take a look back here for Ken Huff. Just gets it loose as soon as he exits.
Look at the bright side. The nose isn't completely destroyed. Just a small graze. Not so great in the confidence department, but it's not damaged.
Thankfully for him, looks like nobody else saw it on the track at the very least, and he'll be able to keep on going, but 37th as is, it was bad before then. Maybe there's a chance to turn it around, but it's got to be another more upsetting feeling after that one.
Unfortunately for Ken, we saw it. So, everyone then sees it. Nick Doucette in control for the first time today. It's been an intriguing season for the 24, still yet to get a victory. Green flag's out. Solis Jr. looking for the lead already. Dylan Roberts, a great start and a bad start to the back of the pack. Lonenslager up on the wall. Everyone scatters as we stay green. The battle for the race lead is on.
And Lonenslager turned up into that high side there on the front stretch wall. Thankfully going to be able to keep it straight. Looks like Matt Skipper caught up in it too. Both drivers able to get away from it, and the lead battle is on. Nicholas Doucette's got the lead, but Jose Solis Jr. wants it back. This is a big night for him if he wants to have any hope of continuing his championship chase. Of course, Tyler Head still the points leader, and right now Head's trying to make his way up in 13th. Being up here in the podium is that much better, so with 28 laps to go, it might become a now-or-never situation soon for that 29 if he wants to come home on top.
Someone who wants to go to the bottom, Larry Pace, charged for second. Not able to make the rotation work for the time being. We have seen that bottom line work in the modern day, though, because of the grip down there in the Coke races.
Well, I'm sure that a driver like Larry Pace can end up making it work. Takes the first lunge there, but not able to stick it just yet. Just making sure he can at least use it in part for now. Maybe he'll try to keep on putting down the pressure if he wants to make any move. The low line's challenging even for drivers with a lot of experience, and it's showing right now up in front. The high side's been king. If Pace gets any other opportunity, though, I'm sure he'll try to pounce on it yet again to make something happen before the race is over.
Canadian Nick holding on for the time being, running the 30.2s. Most of the lead cars in that range outside of a couple in the 30.6s in the heart of the pack. Keep in mind, this top grouping starting to run away from the rest of the pack here. Dylan Roberts you can throw into that mix as we talked about. Here comes the 29 though, and a slide from Canadian Nick.
And Jose Solis now trying to use that bottom groove. He's got a better run that time around, but just not able to stick it off the corner. As you mentioned, rotation not going to be in his favor. Stick it back yet again, find himself behind our race leader, and it looks like he'll have to charge up his momentum once more if he wants any opportunity to take that race lead. That's the best Solis has looked to take it from Nicholas Doucette so far, but Doucette will hang on with 25 laps to go. Jose Solis is going to have to try another way if he wants that race lead.
More drifting and sliding off the corner for the Hendrick machine. DEI Chevy Dylan Roberts, though, is currently the fastest in this respective group. He set the fastest lap of the past 2 laps. Problem is, where do you take that when everyone's this tightly compact up at the front?
There's almost nowhere you can take it right now, even if you have speed, unless someone makes a mistake. As we've mentioned, we've seen a few. It's almost like you are gridlocked. You got speed. It's great to know that as a driver, as an individual, of course, but you got to make that work with the other drivers in front of you. I mean, Jose Solis keeps coming up to the back bumper here. He's quick as well if we're looking at drivers up in front battling, but even if you're quicker than the driver ahead of you, you got to make it work to get it all done. Doesn't take just speed, takes that perfect line, and takes a bit of help from drivers in front of you, maybe making a bit of a mistake.
Keep in mind, 2 tires from Nick Doucette during that pit stop cycle. Everyone else in this train on 4. Lewandowski, more trouble down the back straightaway in the 30s. We stay green. He had been running in 32nd place before a slide and a blown motor from the top of the racetrack. Nick Doucette Nearly drifted around, trying to get the diamond line out of 2. Here comes the run for the race lead.
Jose Salas going to try down to the bottom yet again. Not close just yet. We'll see how it works through 4, but it looks like for now, it's going to be the same race leader. You mentioned Nicholas Doucette, one of the guys who took 2 this time around. For Lewandowski, he's like the first man to have gone through with that strategy. Just does not look like his risk paid off. However, the drivers who have followed in his footsteps, so to speak, are now up there thriving ahead. If we look through our timing right now, James Holzer on an 11-lap stint is 15th, so he's running on a different set of tire according to our timing here, and he is already inside the top 15. The rest of your field in front of him, though, are on a longer stint, and it's been that way now with only 20 laps to go.
Here we go. Solis Jr. getting to the inside out of 4. Nick Doucette gives up the lead. Move the RCR Chevy to the point. That nearly became a very pointy situation. Larry Pace not electing to back out of it, though. Solis Jr. back to the lead after leading 15 laps early.
It looked like the back end of that good wrench machine was pointed at the wall. A fantastic maneuver around your former race leader in Nicholas Doucette. And now it looks like he's falling off just a bit. Larry Pace pounces at the same time. You'll see Dylan Roberts going forward as well. And as soon as he falls from first, it just becomes harder as a driver to keep on defending. Everyone else knows there's a chance to get around you, and they will make it happen if they can. It looks like already the podium has made it so. Rest of the field continues to pounce with Doucette able to settle in now for the 4th spot.
This has been what started off as a solid run. Now showcasing the 2-tire calls really falling off. McKissick doing the same a bit right now. Same as said for Bob Bryan, they're starting to go to backwards. Kyle Benson, meanwhile, he was a very strong runner last summer, keep in mind. It shouldn't be a surprise to see the 38 up here, but the thing is, on his part-time schedule, he's barely inside the top 35 in points and has been running in the sub-teens all year outside of Daytona.
In that case, you need to recover the race. Any driver, if you're in a slump like that, you just got to make it work once around the track. And it looks like right now for Benson, he's getting that race. He's up there battling just within the confines of the top 5. They're getting squirrely, though, right in front of them, and there's trouble indeed.
It's the heart of the pack, 11th on back, and Tyler Head, the points leader, is in it. Tyler Head, a hard hit, and we're under caution.
And for Jose Salas, leading the way, this might be the best race for him to capitalize. Tyler Head, your championship leader, who looked to have an open and shut case against the 29. Now, that might fall into question. He's one of the drivers notably involved in that wreck. Let's take a look on back and find out how he found himself on the wrong end of this caution.
He hasn't had a single DNF all season. It's Parker Alexander on the checkup from Bob Bryan on the wall. But that hit from Hernandez spells the end for Head possibly. Mandatory damage repair for the 86.
And then such a consistent season, making every race so far, and finishing all of which, a night like this, you just don't want to end it behind the pit wall. And it looks like spinning isn't as bad as it seems. Then that contact, as you mentioned, that's on the front end. That's major, and it might just be his race done prematurely. 40 laps in, close to the checkered. He'll come down to pit road as many drivers do. This is the money stop, and for many of these drivers, thankful it's under caution.
It's coming right at 15 laps to go. Who elects to put on the 2 tires? The major question. A lot of drivers, remember, took 4. That's going to be a major playing mark in terms of those left side tires.
And as they come through, of course, Jose Salas with an advantage. It looks like it was Kyle Benson who had to back up into his stall. So not a perfect entry there. His driver's going to be already on the move. Salas looks to be beaten out, and that's going to be a huge loss for him. Many drivers taking a different strategy. Notably now going to be Christian Budd, Sean Palig, Brandon McKissick, Emily Howe, Larry Pace. New top 5 and reorganization up in front with, I believe, a 2-tire strategy.
4 drivers, in fact, on the 2-tire strat in a row coming out there. First on 4 tires, Larry Pace, in fact. So now this is a big swing in terms of this running order, you'd have to think. Christian Budd, it's important to mention, Started off the night strong. After all, he was top 5 in final practice, then ran another tenth or two off his qualifying tempo in the lap in him itself that put him in the back. Now, he has a chance to be up at the front. And remember, he's one of those drivers who could have a shot at closing in big now with Tower Head now off the main lap.
All of a sudden, the race changes hands big time for Christian Budd. This is about the highest he's been in terms of position all night long. 4th in the championship, 1 win this season, so he has winning capacity in him. But the two-tire strategies so far have fallen apart for most drivers that have tried them. Be it Nicholas Doucette, who slowly but surely faded further back, or a driver like, of course, Thomas Lewandowski. Hard impact, caution, involved with another incident as well. Just hasn't played out so far for those who have risked it. Christian Budd would like to prove us wrong here, and he's got a few drivers of buffer as well that might stick with him in this final run.
So Pellick, McKissick, and Howe indeed are the 2 tires. Pace, Solis Jr., Roberts, Doucette, Mauricio, Ali Osman, your top 10. I'll ask you this, who do you think's going to come away with this victory? We're coming up to a 12-lap shootout here at Darlington.
I mean, looking at the way it is right now, with all the drivers still going at it, I'd have to say Jose Salas in 6th, he's the safe bet. But I think right now he might be in the best position. Sure, Larry Pace right ahead of him, same strategy, but Pace simply has not had that pace, ironically, to keep up with the 29 so far. And for the 4 drivers on the 2 tires set, I just don't think it's going to cut it, at least for those outside of the top 2. Pellick and Budd have that comfort, guys behind him with the same strategy, but I don't think it's going to work out for Brandon McKissick or Emily Howe. Simply too much pressure immediately behind, even if it's a single file restart. It's going to come into the hands of either the drivers at front right now or the drivers who are first on 4 tires.
Of note, by the way, Tower Head is back in the race, downside. At least a lap down. And with no lucky dogs in WINSTEL, the best Ted can finish currently is 36th. By far, the worst run of the year for your points leader. The only race that compares is Atlanta. So,
looks like for Tyler Head, not good at all. Justin leads through.
12 laps to go. Budd, ready to bring us to green. Who wins the Southern 500 in WINSTEL? Back underway. Oh, and here comes Howe up the inside for 3rd. And right into the door of McKissick. McKissick holds firm on the outside. Pace now pokes there as well.
And it doesn't do it right now. Already some pressure being put on by Larry Pace, and you'll see him already side by side trying to crack in to this top 4. Going to be on the high side here with Emily Howe right down below. It's going to be just behind him, Jose Salas, working on the high side too. So drivers already trying to make those moves, get around the 2-tire runners, but it's a bit more trouble for Larry up top than he'd expect. Looks like the warmer tires there are holding up better for the number 15 than anticipated, only now letting go and letting Larry Pace pie to get through the stretch alone.
Solis Jr. and several more trying to find suit. Here comes the run for the lead. 10 laps to go at the stripe. Pellick looking up inside. Budd on the outside with the run. The Roush Racing Ford looking for their 2nd win of the season. Pellick looking to break through with his 1st.
And it looks like for now, Christian Budd able to hold on with that track position. 10 laps to go. It was a hard charge there for charge. Of course, a charge for Pellick. But it looks like for now, not going to work out. One driver wiggles big. That's Dylan Roberts. But the front of the field remains the same. All these drivers who have stayed up there are still working very well, as it's 3 wide now through 3 and 4. Looks like it gets a bit calmer, but
Trouble.
It's going to be a multiple spins.
Timothy Latham, Evan Locke amongst those involved. And we're under caution once more. James Holzer right in the heart of that as well. Andy Trupiano also involved in the midst of that as well.
Timothy Latham involved in another caution. Drivers getting away. Multiple spins at once. Almost looks synchronized there. Trouble to bring us to a final few lap sprint. Taking a further replay here. It was 3 wide, but that's not what caused it. At least not immediately.
And dodge on dodge incidents. And then Chevy on Chevy contact on the bottom.
Latham is going to get passed around up and down the track. He's going to be sent all the way through, barely able to make it straight to start-finish line. And it looks like it's going to be contact, as you mentioned, dodge on dodge. The 91 just going to drive it in there. And it looks like Latham's got no choice but to end up in the wall, collecting multiple drivers there. It looks like Ken Huff, you're going to see, able to get right around. We're looking at the 30 machine right now. Tyler Murray. Doesn't matter what manufacturer you are, you still have a chance of being caught.
So as a result of that incident, Tyler Murray having to come down for repairs. Under 10 laps to go in the race. And keep in mind, some of the damage is starting to accumulate. One of the pictures actually sent along within WINSTEL's competitors groupings was how bad the damage was on drivers like Jonathan Hernandez. Some drivers are turning to the point where they are turning right to go left. Yes, that is how the steering is working on some of these cars. So things are getting intense. On the bright side, Tower Head now has a chance to get as high as 34th, which he just did. And he's back on the lead lap because Race Control has seen Tower Head find his way back to the lead lap somehow here as a result of the incident.
And making the most of an opportunity there. Tyler Head still at the back of the field, but being on the lead lap is much better than being stranded one lap down. As it stands, Parker Alexander going to fade down to 37th, and Tyler's going to continue to get damage repair. He's got about a full lap's worth of time to get that done, while Christian Budd contemplates what's next. He was able to hold on against drivers fiercely charging against him, and it looks like now that number 17 has a chance to come home a winner. Two-tire strategy working better for him so far. No signs of a slip-up. Just now, he's got himself a chance to go for gold.
Still pacing around, by the way. Expecting now a 5-lap shootout to determine things here. And a chance to swing things around in the point standings for a lot of circumstances and a lot of drivers. Keep in mind, that final stretch in the fall to determine the champion this season. Chevy Rock and Roll 400 at Richmond, Dover, Talladega, Kansas, Legacy, Phoenix, and of course Homestead, Miami to determine a champion. A good mix of tracks for that fall schedule. Good traditional closing to the schedule.
Traditions here have given us some great racing, of course, using that single file restart. It's a different environment when we get down to these late race restarts. In double file competition, it can get aggressive quick and we can just end up back under yellow immediately. But if you're here single file behind the leader, you really have to work that much harder to make that pass. And we're better to show that than Darlington. It's almost a groove and a half at the very most. And right now, for Christian Budd, he's just got to keep on defending the way he's done it. And it looks like that will set him free. 5-lap dash, though. Drivers might just get a bit more feisty on the way out. Maybe we'll see some more aggression from those like Sean Palig, Brandon McKissick, and even Larry Pace, who's been able to make it up to 4th.
Remember, there is the potential of the point of no return overtime period, where it's 2 laps no matter what. Point no return at Darlington expected at around 4 laps to go. Can they keep it clean? Who will come away with the WINSTEL's version of the Southern 500? Budd, Peleg, McKissick, the top 3. Green flag is out. 5 to go from Darlington, and massive tire spin for Budd. Here comes Peleg, looking on the outside for his first career win.
And it's a hard charge up high there, just like that. The preferred line going to be given to the Lowe's machine. Sean Paley's got a shot up top, and Christian Budd now fades down to the bottom. Looks like a new race leader as Brandon McKissick follows him through. Larry Pace caught low, and Jose Salas going to hold his head up high and keep his car there too. Just like that, things are changing, and only 4 laps remain to settle it here in Darlington.
Sean Peleg, throughout his career, 40 starts in WINSTEL competition. Just not able to break through for wins in his career yet. He'll have to wait as it's the massive one. Massive incident in turn 1 and 2. Holzer up on the air. Parker Alexander involved. And now we're likely going to point and overturn overtime in WINSTEL.
How about that? Saw Steve Goff there go up and over. James Holzer gets caught up too. As I mentioned, drivers like Parker Alexander. And the caution flies so late in the going for, I'd say, the most damaging wreck of them all. Drivers up and over there by the catch fence. That's about the most brutal it looked all throughout.
Biggest hits all night. At least 2 drivers mandatory repairs. Parker Alexander just returned for tech problems, and then here comes Holzer.
And for the bottom of the track to the top, that's not a good look there. James Holzer must have lost all sorts of control as he glides right back up. Hook there.
That was
take his time.
That was Philip Snipes. Not sure what happened there.
And you'd think it would be only just that. He'd be on the apron, and then it gets much worse. That's massive, and for the drivers who got caught up in it, I'm not quite sure if they could have predicted that happening. I mean, now we're looking on board, taking a look with Steve Goff there. His perspective will tell you.
Yeah, not sure what else you can do except hold on to your seatbelt. Point and overturn, by the way, is confirmed as a result of our biggest wreck of the night, with at least 2 cars in the air. And now the pressure has to definitely be on for Peleg, because when it comes to Peleg, he's amongst those who have entered every single race in his WINSTEL career. He's one of just the 2 in that category not to make all the races. He didn't miss 1 race and had a provisional at one point during the first season in this era. However, tonight, his best chance in his career to break through since the Richmond race in the summer of July of last year during the 2006 season.
And Summers have been treating him well with opportunity, but tonight he's looking to capitalize. And it looks like now he's in the best position to do so. Made it by in a very, very solid pass there with Christian Budd now fading back to 5th. He got it done. Very firm maneuver up on the high side. But the question is, can Brandon McKissick replicate that same move and make the pass for his own right? Maybe that's going to be the playbook that's studied right now. The 48 is the one who created the move, but maybe someone's going to try to one-up him and take that lead right away. You got to be thinking about that if you're the leading man here at Darlington. Defense, defense, defense. You've got this track position. It's hard to pass. What can you do to confirm you're going to come home with the hardware?
So just to explain once more how this period works for WINSTEL competition, for those just tuning in for tonight's action here from Darlington. Essentially, this is the final restart no matter what. No cautions will freeze the field if there's an incident coming to the white flag. In our words, if there is any trouble on this sequence, in these next 2 laps rather, there will not be a caution to freeze the field. It's a race to the checkered straight up. So in our words, keep it clean. And also, hope it stays clean if you come down at full power. Cause cautions, by the way, Hayward secondary, primary, Holzer.
And now 1 lap remains here when it comes to pacing. It is now or never. Get prepared, get ready to roll. You might end up rumbling there too. Of course, Sean Peleg, big position, big pressure, but Brandon McKissick now looking to drive up as well. The number 42 machine going to be holding back our, I'd say, most dominant driver when he's up here, Jose Salas. And I think for Salas, this is a big win if he can get it. He'd love to get it done here, make up big time points over Tyler Head, who's now up to 27th, but that's still way back compared to even the top 15. So when it comes to these drivers, it looks like it could be a big chance for some points gain for Jose Salas. It'd be a big breakthrough win for Sean Peleg. Brandon McKissick chasing a checkered as well. Would like to get it done as equally, or if not more, as every driver right there with.
It's been a race with plenty of strategies and a lot of attrition. Peleg and McKissick, 1 and 2 for the final restart. Green flags out, 2 laps to go at Darlington. And Solis Jr. is coming up the inside for second spot.
And just like that, the 4 tires are still moving through. Now it's going to be Solis in the runner-up spot. It's going to be Sean Peleg trying to hold on against your pole sitter, against the man who's taken on every leader and beaten them to the punch. Now it's going to be up to the number 48 of Sean Peleg to hold on as coming through turns 3 and 4. He's got the spot, but he'll have to hold on for 1 more lap to make it so. Final lap here in Darlington. Who's it going to be?
A regroup from McKissick. Peleg runs up to the top. Solis Jr. tries to set up the diamond. Can Solis Jr. get the run? He looks inside. Peleg tries to block. Solis Jr. is there. They slide to the bottom. McKissick moves up top side for third. Peleg with the squeeze. The checker flag waves. Sean Peleg wins his first career WINSTEL race at Darlington.
Breaking through at the track too tough to tame. Sean Peleg gets it done. And it's got to be jubilation after a performance just like that. The perfect move to get the lead. The defense he absolutely required. And then some. It's a gem of a night put together for this number 48. Sean Peleg gets it done. First career win. And it's been a long time coming.
The 15th winner of the WINSTEL Gen 4 Challenge in its history. And it's been a close margin so many times. Now, the Hendrick Motorsport Chevrolet of Peleg gets it done for the first time tonight. The welcome party coming at full steam. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results from the place they call Too Tough to Tame. Sean Peleg able to conquer this place tonight, holding off Brandon McKissick and Jose Solis Jr. by 1/10 and 2/10 respectively. Nick Doucette and Larry Pace amongst your top 5. Christian Budd and Dylan Roberts with Gabriel Mauricio inside within 1 second or so. Emily Howe and Bob Bryant, your top 10. Amongst those in the teens tonight, Kyle Benson ran up towards the front before some slides. He finished 11th, and Tripiano recovers from one of the incidents for 14th spot. Same for Collinex. He recovered back to 18th. The time of the checkered flag with Champo in 20th. A lot of drivers, though, behind that top 20 with some struggles. Tyler Head, able to find a way back to the lead lap, still finishes 24th, one of his slowest finishes of the year, his second worst, in fact. Parker Alexander, also with that distinction in 27th, coming back from being involved in that last caution that triggered the GWC. And a few drivers with some bad luck today. James Holzer finishes 1 lap down as a turtle. He crawled his way to the checkered. Guthier, Lewandowski, and Krobach did not finish the race here tonight. That's a look top to bottom at tonight's running order, as it's Sean Peleg who comes away with his first career WINSTEL victory, and it comes in start 41 in WINSTEL Gen 4 competition. Sean, you finally do it. You do it at Darlington. How's it feel to conquer the Lady in Black?
It feels absolutely incredible. I couldn't have picked a harder place to do it. You said it was my first one since we started this new template. It's been 3 years since I've won any WINSTEL event, so it feels incredible. I've been waiting for this one for a while.
How intense was that final run? Because you had to not only hold on Solis Jr., but Brandon McKissick was hungry too with that final sequence.
Oh, it was very nerve-wracking. I mean, Jose and Brandon, in WINSTEL, some of the best drivers. On the service, some of the best drivers. I mean, you have to be on your toes when they're behind you. I appreciate the room we gave each other on those last few runs, and the same to Christian Budd as well. He was up there until I think the second to last restart, and he had a great race. He gave me room. We were racing great. It was very nerve-wracking, but I'm glad it's over, and I'm glad I'm where I am.
Well, with tonight, you've added yourself to the wins list, of course, in Gen 4, 15th winner in this car, but still a few more races to go. And some of them you've done well at this season, some of the 1.5 miles and some of the 1 mile short tracks. Richmond and Dover in particular next. Your thoughts on the fall stretch coming up?
There's a few tracks in the stretch that I'm looking forward to. To be honest, those two, not the ones. Last year I had a real good run in Richmond just before the chase, and I don't know where that came from. And Dover's a track that I either have it or I don't. So those two we'll see. I'm glad we got a little break here, so maybe I can get prepared for some of the races coming up.
Well, on that note, congratulations on the victory tonight, Sean. You're first in the Gen 4 template. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Keep being you, JP. Thanks for everything you do for us.
That's Sean Pellickson coming away with the victory tonight at the Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. David, real quick thoughts on tonight after a busy finish here at Darlington.
A first-time winner, a breakthrough winner, always a big thing here on the platform. It's a test of skill. Darlington always is. And with these Gen 4s, that's no different. It's a deserving winner and an incredible battle. We saw some strategy, saw some yellow flags, and even then, we came home with a fantastic finish. The pass for the lead was nothing short of clean, hard racing, and eventually that defense is all that carried our race winner, Sean Pellickson, through. And it looks like every attribute of that racing is what makes a winner, and I think that's what we've seen here all season long here in WINSTEL. You've got to be there on all fronts if you want to come home with the win. A great win, great race overall. The track too tough to tame certainly gave us a fantastic performance to look back on.
And on that note, be sure to stick around because when we come up in just a little bit, it's more racing action. It's the Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series from iRacing's virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Who gets the victory on the rectangle tonight? Stick around. We'll be back in just a moment here on FTF.GG.
Welcome to FTF.GG's coverage of the Bricked Up at the Brickyard 400K. As you see, Parker White is your leader here on lap 33, and welcome to everybody that just joined us from WINSTEL's 2003 Southern 500. We are here in just after the end of stage number 1, almost 10 laps after. It's Caleb Hoffman here on lead with Benjamin Easterday, Zach Johnson up in the trailer. As I said, Parker White, after winning last night at Indianapolis, is looking to do the double again here today. And he has fought Falkingham, who won stage 1, and Wyatt Tinsley to do it. Tinsley on a bit of a swing backwards right now, but still been a hectic battle to open up stage number 2 here, Ben.
Yep, been pretty hectic. It's starting to get single file now, but there's still battles everywhere. If you go back to P16 and P15 right now, we got some pushing going on here between Ryan Naraki and Kevin McAdams. Just trying to shove, trying to catch up to that main pack, try to get that draft. At Indy, as well as Michigan that you saw last week, dirty air is there, but it's not really playing much of a factor in these. You really want to stay in a group. Otherwise, if you lose touch with that group, you're going to fall back.
Absolutely, and 2 of the Mick E-Mouse Clubhouse cars right there. And Kevin McAdams at 37, and the driver that he switched numbers with, and Ryan Naraki, who usually adorns that number 37. Both of them have switched numbers for the time being to try to help that 37 along into the owners' playoffs. Doing a solid job right now in 15th. And again, I mean, all eyes have been on this front. We have been racy. Had a battle of almost 3 wide earlier between Wyatt Tinsley, Parker White for a few laps. As you see right now, as Ben said, things calmed down a lot since then. Just riding around single file right now, and you can see the importance of that draft and how important one car going to tag the wall. I believe that's Doucette running back in 12th. You see, just getting freight trained on the inside by those 3 cars grouped up together.
Yeah, 2 by 2 here, battling for P13, P14 here, as they go side by side here into turn 4. But yeah, it's all about that draft. You got to stay in line. Try not to bounce it off the wall. We've seen that a bunch of times here on the exit of turn 4, on the exit of turn 2. A lot of people getting just tight with that arrow and bouncing off the wall. We also seen them bounce off the wall before they enter the turn. I know that sometimes can be an advantage to try to get more turn into the turn. We've seen that a little bit in the Pro Series. But you have to worry about that risk of damage that you'll get on that passenger side.
And you see right now Parker White almost tagged the wall there. And we've seen cars sideways and out of control so far today. Just not much up here at the front. Falkingham trying to chase down Parker White. And Parker White, a little bit of a different color scheme for him this week with those yellow highlights around the edges of that car. New Splash and Go banner, because he has taken the lead of the Tour de France from Daniel Falkingham, who's trying to chase him down P2 right now. Look at this battle between Kevin King and Wyatt Tinsley right now.
Oh man, it's tight. We've had issues with a bit of net code, even if they're close to each other, especially in the straightaways, that we've already had 2 wrecks here as Brandon Hawken takes it 3 wide on the inside. We're going to see how this works. The car on the outside backs out of it. That's Wyatt Tinsley. That is pretty smart of him to do. He'll try to get a better exit here on turn 3. See if he can get on the inside of Kevin King. He's going to have a terrible exit here. It's going to cause him to get tight. And I believe Wyatt Tinsley will follow the inside car, try to get that position.
Straddling in the middle for a second, but does opt to go with Brandon Hawken. Side by side into one. Hawken with the advantage. A little bit of contact there almost.
Yeah, Wyatt Tinsley got tight there. That ended up screwing him up. So now Buttafuoco's getting by him. They're both kind of loose on exit. Now he's going to be pushing Buttafuoco here.
And right now, this group trying to figure things out. Again, Tinsley popped the wall there just for a second. He was a part of that battle 3 wide. He's fallen all the way back to 7th. Oh, Blake Reynolds off the track. He's spun around.
Single car spin. It looks like we're staying green.
12 laps shy of stage 2
he's
win. Blake
still-
Reynolds, spun again.
No one's around him. He looks like he's in the back stretch. Everyone else is in the front stretch, so we're going to keep it green.
Right now, here is Matthew Zwack coming down the pit lane. He was involved in our first accident between, it was he and Nate Stewart, a little bit of net code, the aforementioned incident there.
Yeah,
Now
lap
it's-
9. Sorry to cut you off there, but I think now's the perfect time to do a recap.
Yeah, we've taken a little bit of notes up here. And again, that first caution that came out on lap 10 between Zwack and Nate Stewart, who is not here right now.
Yeah, it was net code. The blame was put on Zwack. He did kind of go up into Nate Stewart there. Lap 1 at the start, we almost had a big one as Dylan Basin kind of blinked in and out, caused a big stack up at the beginning, but everyone kept it straight, and we stayed green up until lap 9. Then in lap 16, Justin Malillo, unfortunately, having issues with his wheel disconnecting. That caused him to, looked like he slammed on the brakes. Everyone was able to avoid him. Stayed green. He had to tow. And then again on lap 18, the same thing happened, causing him to hit the wall, tow again, and then finally manually disconnect, unfortunately. Then on lap 22, we had a collision on the straightaway between Oshlem and Oates, both getting into each other. Kind of a racing deal. No one got blamed for that wreck. And then Fockingham won that first stage. So that's your recap.
And then since then, we've been about where we are now, the exception of, again, Tinsley's been falling back a little after he made a lot of noise trying to get up to the lead. And Fockingham right now, after a not good turn of events at the end of last night's race on the road course, has been running second fiddle for most of the day. But he's had a fantastic run up inside the top 3 and trying to make up a little bit more ground since, again, that late race issue with him last night where his wheel disconnected for a moment.
Yeah, looking at the times, Fockingham has been pretty much the fastest, even in practice. It was Fockingham, White, King, Tinsley. They were all around each other during practice. So I expect them all to be running up towards the front. Parker White, Indy must be his favorite track as he won yesterday at the road course. And now you can see he's leading right now at the Oval.
Yeah, we talked to him last night and after his win, and he was very excited to get here to the Oval, and you see why. I mean, again, has fantastic pace and looking for his get-ready 9th win on the season. Hasn't purely been a Parker White show, however, tonight. Actually, for a fair majority of the night was right on that bubble of around the 5th position, but he has been able to crawl his way back up and doing a fantastic job at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm hearing for the 3rd time that Justin's wheel has disconnected. He pretty much when his wheel disconnects, it locks up the brakes, and he just goes straight into the wall. So looks like he's back in pit road yet again, as it looks like we're having some takers in pit road.
Yeah, and I mean, we're around that time. We saw, courtesy of that caution, of course, early on, that we got pitters around right around that lap 10 mark, about 7 laps shy of the end of stage 2. Again, no caution, but something to be mindful of here. Some guys playing more towards the end of this race rather than the end of the stage.
Pitters indeed. So far, though, looks like mainly the lead pack is all staying out. I'm not really seeing any other takers coming into pit road at this time.
Looks like we have a few lone ducks on strategy. Actually, a few more coming down now. Ryan Doucette was the only one I saw. Again, right now for the leaders who are coming up on the end of stage number 2. Looking pretty good for Parker White. Daniel Falkingham hasn't lost complete sight of him, but hasn't exactly been able to track him down as well. And look at this group. This is Seth Knoll, Nick Miller. Nick Miller has been pretty loose off corner exit so far on this run. Almost wrecked a few times earlier, but kept it clean so far.
Yeah, looking at the times, it looks like there's about a second fall off from the last time everyone's pitted. So it might be a good chance, especially if you're not going to be getting any stage points, to come in early. I don't think you're going to be losing a lap. Even though this pit lane is long, it still takes about 55 seconds to get around this place. So,
yeah, I mean, these straightaways are some of the longest you'll find around. And we haven't even covered, I mean, Indianapolis, 2.5 mile speedway, 4 turns, or maybe 8 if you ask some of the FTF admins.
Oh, someone's in the wall.
I think that's Josh Chin is tagging the wall. It's all right on the exit of 2, and yes, no caution flag at the moment, and yes, that is Josh Chin. He'll have to get down to the pit road, and very long access road here. Got to be careful not to run off at all at any point.
Looks like he's got a meatball flag, so he's going to have to take it into the pits either way. Here's a replay of it.
Yeah, what happened here to Josh Chin, and you see car just snaps. Puts him in the outside wall, just kind of gets glued to it. Has to wait for all that speed to scrub off before he can get himself off of it, and even then, makes more contact with it. Cosmonaut Neshu, Hamilton Akabueze down below him. Tough break for Josh Chin, who made his first start here in that 93 last night at the road course, and trying to complete the double here today. Might come up short here.
So we're currently in the buffer zone, so if that threw a caution, Parker White would have won the stage. We're still under green, though. Stage is at the end of lap 50. As it looks like Parker White's trying to do some IndyCar drafting here, making sure the car behind him, Falkingham, doesn't get that draft off of him. Oh man, as in the back, I'm seeing cars getting loose on exit 4.
Yeah, and I mean, with this much fall off, they are very prone to snapping around on you, like we just saw with Josh Chin. Here is Brian Mercurio, who is running a little bit higher. Look at, that's Daniel Buttafuoco behind him, and Buttafuoco, another guy who is on a redemption run here today, finished 41st last night, and we were speculating that it might push him down in the standings. Well, it did. Lost 4 spots, went from 2nd to 6th in the standings, passed by Michael P. Frisch, Mercurio right there, Falkingham, and Brandon Hawkins. So good rebound run for him, up inside the top 10 now.
Yeah, he's been pretty much running in the top 10 for the most of the race. We're coming up to halfway here in about a couple laps. I don't really see that changing unless we get some kind of caution that mixes it up in between pit stops.
Very much a possibility. Again, we've seen a lot of guys at their breaking point just about with these tires, and got to be very careful not to overheat them or wear them down too much. And when you're pushing these cars this hard, look at Logan Helton. That was almost spun it off turn 2 there, and he does a great job keeping that thing underneath him, but loses time to Buttafuoco in front and allows Nick Miller to ever so slightly gain on him. However, he is kind of just in his little zone right now. Very loose cars around this racetrack.
Oof.
Look at this group. This is Naraki and Frisch with a slight wobble. See Naraki trying to suck up behind him. Going into turn 1, speeds tonight in excess of 190 miles per hour at the end of these straightaways, so very important task to keep those brakes cool as well and not overheat anything, because you will go careening into the wall at the end of these straightaways.
That's correct, and as we're coming up here to the final lap of the stage, we got a battle here for P2. We got 3 cars here getting ready to battle it out for some stage points here. We got Graham Bolin, Fockingham, and Matt Spalding. And we're going to see how this action plays out.
Yeah, Spalding right now not on the lead lap. So this battle between Graham Bolin and Fockingham. Bolin was just able to get around Fockingham for the 2nd position. And this draft help of Spalding could help Fockingham out quite a bit. We'll see. And look at the difference those tires make as Spalding was able to get underneath Fockingham. Fockingham going to have to sit behind Graham Bolin as they come down the backstretch. Going into turn 3. Nothing much happening right now. Between these two, it's going to take a lot from Daniel Fockingham, I think, if he wants to have a shot here at Graham Bolin. Coming out of turn number 4, though. Didn't get stage number 1 just narrowly, but look at Parker White. Going to get stage 2 here at the Indianapolis Oval after winning last night. Stage 2 goes to Parker White. Graham Bolin holds off Fockingham for 2nd. Brandon Hawken watches as that battle unfurls. He'll be in the 4th position. Kevin King gets a nice top 5. And look, here come people all down the pit road at the end of that stage.
Everyone grabbing 4 freshies and some fuel. Get ready for the long haul of this 50 laps left to go in this entire race. I expect the leaders to be pitting here pretty soon. Try to get some fresh tires as they're losing about a second to everyone else that's pitted early. So hopefully that doesn't screw them over here for the rest of the race.
And right now you can see a few more coming down the pit lane as well. Among them is Daniel Buttafuoco. I think that was Logan Helton as well. Nick Miller. Be careful not to lock up those tires or speed. Super difficult.
Or get into the back of it.
Yeah. Oh, Helton was close there on Buttafuoco there. Nick Miller looks like he's in no problems for that 19 machine. There's David Cabrera in the 31.
You can see in the background Matt Spalding trying to not gain in position, but he has the fresh tires. He's been held up with these lead lappers.
Yeah, he's definitely been faster, but just so hard to pass here at Indianapolis. Here comes Parker White, Graham Bolin, Fockingham. Looks like he was a little late deciding, but comes down as well. Going to cycle our lead over to Brandon Hawken. This is really important what happens with this group right here. All 3 have shown so much speed all day long.
Yeah, and one thing that you definitely don't want to do is speed on pit road, and it looks like someone has already done that, and that is Cosman in the 84. So he's going to have to come back through pit road or get hold for that 40 seconds.
One car tagged the wall off turn 2 there around Brian Mercurio. Let's see, Jonathan Oates. Jonathan Oates got spun earlier this race, and he's getting past Mercurio now, courtesy of those fresher tires. Oates has had himself a day, but still has time to rebound from it. And number 73
Mercurio coming in the pit now.
Yeah, you saw that entire lead group of Hawken, Kevin King, and Brian Mercurio coming down. Should hand the lead over to Jordan Worth, should he not pit, which he will not. He now takes the lead. Going into turn number 1, trying to put Blake Reynolds a lap down.
And at this point, if you're leading, you really don't want a caution to come out because the people that are pitting are still on the lead lap. So if the caution comes out right now, Jordan Worth, will be still starting in the back, as everyone that's already pitted is most likely going to be staying out.
a little bit of trouble.
So it looks like he's coming in right now.
Yeah, we have, I believe, some trouble with the Falkingham machine.
Yeah, he has a meatball.
And that will be a caution. And Falkingham, yeah, there he is. He has been stopped right there in turn number 1. And lots of complaints over the radio right now because he has just been sitting there. And I think you said he has a meatball. That machine might be broken, and that would be a tough turn of events after what happened yesterday. And now,
yeah,
broken
and
car
really
on the
in this
racetrack.
situation, if you're stuck on the track, you should have towed. If you're a single car that's spun out, like, get off the track. But this is going to benefit Jordan Worth. He entered the pit road when it was still green. So that's going to benefit him, as it looks like Daniel Falkingham's getting rolling right now.
And Falkingham trying to plead his case right now over the radio, but might have some more wheel trouble after what we saw last night. And
Yeah, if we can get an onboard replay, Falkingham.
well, we'll get the replay here first. And you see Wyatt Tinsley right behind him. See
He
what
just goes
on.
straight.
Yeah, that does look like a wheel failure again, and it's what we've been seeing with Justin Malillo. Don't know if it's just something in the air or what, but we saw that strike him at the end of last race where he was running P2, and
Here's an onboard. We should be able to see, if looking at his hands. Yep, as a wheel disconnecting right there.
and he is he I believe was saying that his actual tow button was a button on his wheel, so with it not picking up there for a minute, he was not able to get off the racetrack. And what puts us under this caution, and he will join everybody, obviously, who is coming down. And among those, Wyatt Tinsley, one of the big names.
It's one of those where you just need to make sure that you have a keyboard next to you as well.
Really unfortunate there. But while we are under caution, we're going to step aside, go to a break. Parker White, currently your leader, 45 laps remaining here in the Bricked Up at the Brickyard 400K. Grant Bolin, Sebastian Marin, Brandon Hawking, Kevin King, your top 5. We'll see you in a second. Welcome back to FTF.GG's coverage of the bricked up Brickyard 400K here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Parker White, currently your leader. Caleb Hoffman with you. Benjamin Easterday alongside me. Zach Johnson up in the production trailer. And gonna be a fun restart here. Last time they did restart all together like this, we saw a big 3-wide battle for the lead. Bunch of swipes back and forth down the straightaway trying to bake draft. So we'll see if that trend continues. Pace car off the pit lane coming to 43 laps to go. Restart in Parker's White's hands. Green flag back in the air. You see White going all the way up to the wall there. Clear Graham Bolin. Down into turn 1. Does Sebastian Marin have anything? I think he's just going to get freight trained at the moment by Hawken is in this group. Kevin King going to drop down to help that Marin machine out of turn number 2. And yep, Sebastian Marin going to get cycled out right here unless he can hope for a prayer. Not much.
Oh, they're wrecking in the back.
Oh, and look at this group. Jonathan Oates was just narrowly able to avoid that. Looks like only one car going to be involved there.
Oh, someone else. Just got a tap.
I believe it was Seth Knoll.
That was Jonathan
Oshland. Not even the same color. What are we doing? That was Brian Sabelski who made contact with the wall there and did a replay of what just happened right here. It was right around that mid-pack.
Not clear.
Oh, and Doucette right there with a fair bit of contact. And correction there. That was Chase Durheim who got tagged into the wall there, and Zabilski just narrowly avoided him. Either way, Parker White going to cycle out to be your leader. Not necessarily cycles out, but was able to hold on at least and had a really good restart. Oh, we got the Spencer Ray cat cam up. And you see that cat is having a very good time. Might be mid-bath time.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and we got another cat on screen. Hold on.
Who wants the attention more?
And I think that cat in the chair is enjoying it at the moment. It looks like a toy he has in his paws, so. Look at that cat.
So cute. How do they do it? How can you just be a cat like that?
And you see Doucette with that front end damage there. You might get a chance under the pit lane to enjoy the cat cam. The patented FTF under caution cat cam, we'll call it. There is Daniel Falkingham on the outside there. He right now, for anybody wondering, again after his wheel disconnecting. We could find him running 39th. So not exactly how Falkingham wanted the second half of his race to go. And it feels so bad for him. He just broke out and got that win last week at Michigan. Had speed last night, just not quite enough. Then his wheel disconnected. Now another wheel disconnect here today. Gonna put him, again, right now P39, getting his lap back.
They should be on the lead lap now, and that will definitely be helpful trying to get more positions, try to dig out of this hole. But it's one of those issues where you gotta duct tape all your USB connections onto the back of the wheel because you never know when those connections will get loose. And it's just a slight tap, a slight disconnection will ruin a day.
And
as they are choosing this time.
I was hoping we'd get the patented Ben Easterday. Yes, they are coming to the choose cone. Got to avoid that white line at the very beginning. Parker White going down to the inside. We saw a little bit of trouble with that earlier. Josh Parker got a penalty, and so did Kwame
Looks like
Scott.
we got Lucas Plessel hit the line, so he's going to be getting an EOL. But quite a checkup here as everyone's still trying to get through.
And they have to all get grouped up. Good news is they got about maybe 1.25 miles as they come down the backstretch. I think that's 2.5 divided by 1, or 2. Good Lord, we're good at math up here at FTF.GG. But you came here for racing, not for math. So I'll stand by that.
Just that ORN math sneaking in.
Yeah, we'll have to monitor Falkingham, and again, he was part of a fun battle earlier. Right up there for the lead. We know he has speed. But everybody up here not going to be too conducive of that. This late in the
cars starting to drop back. Another person that hit the line was Chase Durham. He's going to be dropping to the back as we are coming to the green.
Yeah, pace car going to dip back down once again. Starter has a flag in his hands. It's going to be green flag for Parker White. How big of a jump does he get on Grant Bolin? Is he able to clear him again? He is going down into turn number 1. Side by side for second right now. It's Brandon Hawken and Grant Bolin.
With these cold tires, it's not actually getting loose. Are you worried about? You're worried about getting tight with the car on the outside. Everyone so far looks to be getting through nice and clean. As we got 3 wide battles happening in the back. Everyone else is 2x2. So far, everyone's keeping it clean except for Matt Spalding, who got into the wall.
3 wide as well. Here comes Budafuco. He dips underneath. Brandon Hawken trying to make some noise up inside of the top 4. Hawken gonna just barely get an advantage. And again, you mentioned those cars getting tight. Got to be so careful. But look, this has grouped everybody back up together. Here comes Brian Mercurio, Michael P. Frisch, all the way on the inside. 3 wide for this group still.
Oh, Budafuco almost got into the car above him in front of this wild pack here with Brandon Hawken. They kept it straight. Still 3x2x2x2, now 2x2x2. As Wyatt Tinsley looks to the inside, he wants to make it 3. He wants to see if we can get a position there on the inside.
Tinsley got caught pit and has been stuck back here in the pack. He's done a good job of climbing back up so far. Did a fantastic job yesterday. Went from 31st to 7th within the first 10 or so laps. Had a fantastic drive here, trying to carry on his momentum as we again encroach closer to the start of the playoffs. Got this race tonight with just 38 laps to go. And Watkins Glen, Darlington, and Daytona right before that cutoff. And Seth Knoll going to dip out of line big time.
Yeah, completely missed the turn there. It looks like he's going to hold that outside line. He should have the momentum here. He also has help behind him, which is Brady.
16 of Weileman. Big move goes down to help Cabrera. Seth Knoll still had that momentum, was able to block, and now Cabrera going to have to get out of that throttle and pushes him up the racetrack a little bit.
Seeing Daniel Falkingham on the apron here. Not sure what's going on with him.
Might be more wheel trouble he's trying to prevent. And lots of frustration around this group in particular. Blake Bryant not happy with Phil McCandless about being side by side because they're both trying to catch back up to Weileman, that car in front for the 15th position. Kevin McAdams underneath Bryant now. And lots of IndyCar style drafting going on, that draft break-in.
Oh. They touch.
And that's Cabrera and Seth Knoll. Cabrera right now trying to avoid what happened to the other 3 cheat car earlier today in Indianapolis. He is having a good run, though. So far up inside at top 15. Has been there all day. Look at Seth Knoll going all the way to that inside wall.
Yeah, Knoll was trying to block Wheelman there. Looks like it worked. Wheelman's on the outside. He's getting squeezed really badly.
And Seth Knoll trying anything he can. Weileman still side by side coming off of turn number 2. And now Knoll going to drop back in a line and try to use that slingshot at the end of the straightaway maybe. And that's conventionally how we've...
up front, Kwame Scott and Nick Miller got into it going into turn 3. Kwame
Nick
Scott
Miller
wanted that position, and Nick Miller did not want to give it away, but Kwame definitely forced the issue and made it happen. That's going to cause Nick Miller to lose 3 spots on this straightaway.
And Nick Miller didn't want to give up that spot because he knew this would happen where he'd just get cycled out. Wyatt Tinsley was able to get around him. He breaks now into the top 10. Nick Miller trying to get this spot back from Frisch. That's what you got to do. And Kwame Scott sent it going into turn number 3, and he'll come out with the spot. Nick Miller and Michael P. Frisch still side by side, and they're now right at the front of this group that we were watching earlier. Look at Seth Knoll trying to hold off Blake Bryant, blocking him all the way down to the apron. And again, this is how you conventionally pass at Indianapolis, using all of that straightaway, but almost something there. Blake Bryant had to get out of the throttle, almost spun the car, and that will happen to you at Indy when you're trying to get this car woed down and you're on the inside like that. Back in, those tires, you'll lose them and you'll spin around, and almost happened there. Here comes Kevin McAdams down to the inside of Seth Knoll. Surprised to see Bryant go after that after having that close call there, but he's shaking it off and just going right back at it, side by side. Into turn number 2 now is McAdams and Knoll.
You can see Kevin McAdams starting to get loose there on exit, but he's going to have some help with Blake Bryant pushing him down this backstretch. Meanwhile, behind him, it looks like Philip McCandless is taking a look. He's going to take that inside line. As we just got a gaggle of cars here.
Gaggle is right, Ben, and McCandless is holding off on that battle with Blake Reynolds for the time being. Still side by side here between Bryant and Knoll. Here comes Blake Reynolds. He's thinking about it.
Ooh.
Contact between Bryant and Knoll.
You got to be careful that we've seen a lot of wrecks, not only at Michigan, but here at Indy, where trying to go for that side draft has caused a caution, caused the car to get spun on the inside.
And that side draft's so useful, but the slightest misjudgment, in addition with some net code, and end your day really easily. And we've seen even today here that caused an issue, namely between it was Nate Stewart and Matthew Zwack, lap 10 of this race. Just got to be careful, but it looks like everybody's going to get sorted out now. David L. Brown trying to get around the 54 of Matt Spalding. Well, look ahead of them. Here comes Blake Bryant. Blake Reynolds all the way down to that inside wall. Bryant in line with McAdams is going to neutralize that surge, going down into 1. Bryant's trying to send it, but McAdams going to hold strong, and it looks like the back end going to slip out just a little bit for Bryant. That's going to open the door for Reynolds.
Yeah, now we got the Blake and Blake sideways.
I was just about to say that. God.
As Seth Knoll is going to take the outside, as Blake Bryant is going to lose a ton of spots. He just has that draft line on the outside.
And Zwack trying to get around him as well. Looks like Logan Helton's going to be the one that's side by side with him, and McCandless going to go back in front of Helton just for a second. Looks like this group starting to calm down for the moment.
You say that. As Zwack gets in the wall a little bit, was getting pushed by Ryan Naraki there on the entry.
And looks like Zwack getting in the wall there is going to give Blake Bryant that room he needed. But right now, looking around on the racetrack and big points battle. Keep an eye on this group right here of Buttafuoco and Brian Mercurio. Again, Buttafuoco, after his finish last night, fell way back in points and has put him right in the clutches of Brian Mercurio.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to let Mercurio by nice and easy. It's one of those things at this track and any kind of big draft track is, do you want to make it easy for the person behind you and then let him go, be able to keep that position, or are you going to race him hard, he's going to side draft you, and then you both lose time on the car in front of you? It's a balancing act, whether you want to race or if you want to make it easy on the other driver.
And right now it's been a tough few rounds for a lot of guys in the top 5 right now, and talked about how many rebounds we've seen. Again, Mercurio, that was a big story last night with him coming home in the top 2. Following it up with a good run. Look at Kevin King trying to block Hawk in there. Didn't quite have all of it, and they go down into turn number 1. Look at Brandon Hawken down to the inside. Got to be super careful here. We've seen those cars get loose when attempting to do just this. He's still holding strong, though. Ooh. 99 machine there. Got a little tight, pushed up a little bit, but Kevin King gives him the room, and now going to try to fall back in line. Look at Kevin King draft breaking now.
And remember what I was talking about, those two got sideways. They both knocked each other down, slowed themselves down, and now Brian Mercurio's here getting ready to take these 2 positions.
Kevin King and Brandon Hawken. Kevin King was not at the Indianapolis road course last night and joined us, said he wouldn't be here for Watkins Glen either, trying to avoid all the road courses he can, but King doing himself a favor with this 3rd place run tonight and would tie his season best so far after coming home in victory lane 4 times last season and taking home the championship. Has been winless thus far. We'll have to chase down Grant Bolin and Parker White if he wants to get his first one here tonight.
One thing to note is it does look like that Nate Stewart had the same issue that Justin Melillo had and Fockingham had. Looks like the wheel disconnected. So he's currently sitting in pit road.
Tough break for Nate Stewart, who hasn't exactly had the second half that he's wanted coming off the summer break, and saw him in an incident with Buttafuoco earlier tonight. And really interesting there. You see Kevin King and Hawkins still side by side after Hawkins decided to dodge out. Oh no, Spencer Ray, you see him down coming to the pit lane as well. And here at the Brickyard, proven to be treacherous.
Here's Buttafuoco trying to take a position. Brandon Hawken.
Well, Mercurio down to the inside, does get around Brandon Hawken and cycles Hawken out to 5th. Kevin King still here as well. Brian Mercurio following up last night's good run, and Brandon Hawken, I don't know, he's had a consistent last couple of rounds. 5th last night, 8th at Michigan. But again, not in that win category just yet. And starting to see a few come down. Look at Naraki, Blake Bryant, right at the entry of pit road. Under green here, you want as smooth of a stop as possible, and one little mistake can derail all of that.
Yeah, and if you're seeing other cars pitting, it might be time for you to do the same. Again, like I said before, if a yellow happens now, those cars that pitted, they don't have to go through pit road again. They can stay out, gain those positions, still be on the lead lap.
Oh, one car in the wall on the backstretch. Gonna just get off of it, but you see a fair amount of damage right now. Gonna get down to the inside, and that is the number 16 machine of Brady Weileman. They'll have to join the access road there with all of that damage. One thing about this race car in the next gen is if you make contact with the wall like that, it's very easy to break one of those inner suspension components and will derail your day.
Looks like he just got loose on the apron one of the turns and it just shot him up and straight into the wall. He currently has a meatball, so he's going to have to go into the pits and get that resolved.
Tough break there, and you see this group still right under a blanket. Kevin King, Mercurio, and Brandon Hawken. They've been one of the few battles on the racetrack the last 10 or so laps, and all of them, you've got to think a little more aggressive about to come into the pit lane as well, because this pit lane, this upcoming stop can really exacerbate a gap if you play it just right. Here comes Graham Bolin down the pit lane. Kevin King joining him as well.
Kevin King with a great entry in the pit road.
Yeah, he made up a bunch of time. Look at that. Brian Mercurio, Brandon Hawken move into second and third. Almost a 4-second gap. And this really helps Parker White, not only here in this race, but you see that name highlighted in yellow and the yellow trim around it, leading the Tour de France standings at the moment. Only 2 rounds left to go after tonight, and Parker White already has almost I believe it's a 20-second advantage in that fight. Yes, over Daniel Falkingham right now. Here comes Parker White down the pit lane. Mercurio, Buttafuoco joins them as well. Should cycle Brandon Hawken and Sebastian Marin out towards the front here.
A lot more takers this time. Oh, and someone definitely sped on pit road. I think Zwack might be serving something. So far, I haven't seen anything on my iRace control yet of a black flag or anything, but he definitely went in there hard.
Yeah, and right now, Wyatt Tinsley, you see him, who's one of those guys that pitted under that last caution, and that number 23, or that's the 22 of Art Reimer, excuse me, down to the inside. I guess, if you see the leaders come in, do you want to come in as soon as possible if you don't have some sort of alternate strategy figured out? You see here comes the rest of them. Hawken, Kwame Scott, Sebastian Marin going to stay out here. Like you said earlier, can't imagine a caution would help Marin out at this point, so wonder what he's got up his sleeve.
Yeah, typically when you see everyone else coming, you want to come as well.
And Marin breaking this draft down the back straightaway. He has Oshlem in tow, and Jordan Worth, that bright blue car behind him. And I think Marin will come in this time. Yes, he does. Jordan Worth has no intention of following him.
Cabrera does, though.
Cabrera right now, albeit part of pit strategy in the middle of this cycle, but he's done a good job tonight. And
further back coming into pit road, David Brown almost spun in, hit the wall. He kept it straight. So we got more takers coming in the pit road. So far, Jordan Worth, he's done this before, stayed out. When he went to pit road, a caution happened. So we'll see if it works out for him again.
And we know he likes that later strategy. Got to be super careful here. Kevin McAdams says he's coming down this time by second position, and Worth going to stay out once again. Oh, and McAdams is going to get turned really hard. Nick Miller as well.
Stop.
Oh, got to be careful. There's Jake Poulin. But
it's a dangerous spot right on the exit of 4. Glad no one else ran into that.
An incident there as he just dived into that outside wall. Might be a good perfectly cut scream there. Nick Miller we saw involved in that as well. And you mentioned that Jordan Worth got a caution last time staying out and gets one again here. I think just makes contact with Nick Miller and again just hooks him hard into that outside wall. Front bumper disconnected from the car, slides up in front of Poulin. Poulin has to react last minute to this.
Yeah, Kevin just gets loose and gets right in front of Nick Miller and just causes a big one. Ugh.
Yeah, the hard one for sure. That was a terrible crash. Lucky Dog will now be the 22 of Art Reimer, and Kevin McAdams not happy with himself. Was just about to come down the pit lane. Here comes Jordan Worth down.
It's going to be interesting to see who comes in and who stays out.
And this will officially, I mean, Jordan Worth's going to be good. Everybody else should be good, but, I mean, barring a late green-white checkered or two, might be a little bit of trouble. Puts us under what will be the third caution of the day here at Indianapolis. Have had a, I'll knock on wood. Don't know if you can hear that, but pretty clean race so far. I mean, we've had our brush ups, but that's been really the first major incident of the day.
Yeah, we've had minor contact, some net code. I would say the only big crashes that we've had previous to this would be wheel connects, where everyone would just go straight because the wheel has been disconnected. It's crazy that we've seen that with 3 different drivers, and it's very rare to happen once in the first place.
And again, we've seen those symptoms even into last night with what happened to Daniel Falkingham late in that race. But could have been a disastrous caution. However, didn't capture anybody a lap down that time. Again, it's a 2.5 mile speedway, so hard to lap people here, even if you do stay out, just because this track is so long. But you saw Jordan Worth just came down the pit road, for anybody wondering where that number 97 machine
looks like
cycled out.
Spencer Ray and Daniel Falkingham will be getting their laps back as they're ahead of the pace car, as they are choosing this time. Choose.
Jordan Worth running at 21st. Here is our choose cam from one race control, Josh Mendoza, and he is monitoring that choose cone very carefully. Anybody that touches that, you see where that white, both of those lines come to a point. Anybody touches that, and you are going to the rear of the field. So he's got to be eagle-eyed. You see him, he's getting close. He thought he might have busted somebody there. And looks like we're going to get away scot-free.
Yeah, I talked to him earlier about his setup, if we want to go back to it. On the top left corner, that is iRace Control. That's one of the best adminning tools that we have to be able to see the track, be able to see incidents and all that, be able to see the track itself, keep track of the leaders. But he actually has 2 iRacing sessions open here. He has the bottom left and then the bottom right. That way he can be able to see the choose nice and easy, and then be able to manually control on the left. The left is normally what we see on our side for those that only have one account to be able to play around with.
And Mendoza's doing a fantastic job up for the FTF admins in the booth. Not a part of the race. Everybody else who usually does it is participating tonight. So either way, 17 laps to go here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Parker White's been able to get a great launch and propel himself away from the field. We'll see if that can happen again. Green flag back in the air. Parker White once again doing a fantastic job. Didn't quite get clear though. Here comes Graham Bolin with a run to the outside. They're side by side for the lead going into turn number 1.
Graham really sent it. He's on the outside. He's on the outside door. He got a really good restart there. For once, Parker White was not able to pull away like he's normally been able to. We're going to be having a lot of side draft here coming into the backstretch all throughout the field. So far, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. coming into turn 3.
Still side by side. Who has the advantage going into 3 now? Grant Bolin going to edge out just a little bit. Parker White down to the inside. Do they have help from Kevin King or Brian Mercurio behind him? No. Looks like Parker White on the inside going to get that advantage. Grant Bolin will have to fall back in line. Now you see Parker White going everywhere all over this racetrack. Right now, just trying to get away from Grant Bolin. No avail, however, though. Going into turn 1, Grant Bolin's right behind that 011.
Gotta try to stay away from that draft. Also in the turns, you have to try to make sure that dirty air doesn't screw up with the nose of your car. Pretty much the top 4 are all split up, but in the back, they are still 2 by 2.
Oh, Blake Reynolds going to tag the wall here. All the way down to the inside grass. Looks like he'll have it saved. Maybe. Going to be hard to come back from that this late in the race, but he does a fantastic job not bringing out a caution. Because again, all the way to the back is Blake Reynolds, and that is terrible for that number 66 car. One more in the wall. I believe that's Spalding.
They all keep it straight, lose a ton of positions. We stay green. So far, the top 4 have split away from the main pack.
Tons of trouble, and Parker White right now, not what he wants to see, especially after that last restart where Grant Bolin was able to get to his outside and still trying to chase him down here. But one restart can go wrong for you. That's all it takes, and you'll get cycled pretty quickly out to the back.
You can see there in the back, that's
wall.
Jordan Worth. Oh.
I believe that was Spalding again who tagged the wall, and Zach Hudson really had to avoid him there. Went all the way down to the inside grass once again. This is, again, Parker White with the lead. Grant Bolin still trying to chase him down, and we've seen it's been very challenging to chase somebody down today. That's Daniel Buttafuoco a little further back. Big block on Brandon Hawken, who had a run on the exit of the corner there. Couldn't quite go anywhere with it. Great job by Buttafuoco as he maintains his position up inside the top 5 right now.
Buttafuoco is pretty tight there on turn 1. We'll see how he gets through here turn 2, but meanwhile behind him though, Brandon Hawkins getting hounded by Wyatt Tinsley. Wyatt Tinsley gets a little loose, and Kwame Scott's going to go on the inside of him.
All it takes is one little wobble, and this is a very momentum-based racetrack. Can't get out of the throttle like that without any repercussions. And man, Kwame Scott able to get around Tinsley there. Tinsley will fall back to 8th. Looks like things are calming down here. Frisch and Helton side by side a little further back. This is to break into the top 10 for Michael P. Frisch.
Yeah, now's a smart time for them to try to stay single file, try to catch up to that main pack up there of 9 cars. Meanwhile, farther in the back, you can see this side-by-side racing that's going on.
Oh, and a little bit of
touch.
contact between Seth Knoll. Seth Knoll looks like he'll get turned around, and that's going to bring out a caution with 12 laps to go. Seth Knoll into the inside wall. Hit it square on the driver's side, and looks like he'll be okay. Get away, and we saw that happen live, or at least the initial contact catalyst that sent him around. I think just got tight and got into the Naraki.
Yeah, right in Naraki there at the exit got a little bit loose. Actually, I'm going to say that was netcode. He got a netcode tap on the exit of turn 2. That caused him to get into the door of Seth Knoll. They just bounced off each other, and then it finally set Seth Knoll down to the inside. We're getting on
right
board.
Here.
It's from Seth.
And Knoll, just that little bit of contact there. Did a good job otherwise of keeping that out of the wall.
Looking at the track right now, looks like Fockingham should be the wave.
And there is Daniel Falkingham was top 5 earlier, ran second for a fair portion of this race before he had a wheel disconnect failure. That's been good news, though, for Parker White. Means one less car who is chasing him down for the win. And here comes Parker White down the pit lane.
Faking.
I don't think he is. Whoa, last second. I don't know. I thought he might have caught that wall there, but he does a good job on the fake. Had me fooled. And here comes Frisch, and everybody behind Frisch really will come down as well.
Yeah, I don't think it would be very smart unless you're towards midfield to be pitting right now. We got 10 laps to go right now. We're probably going to be starting with 8 laps. And I expect there to be more cautions in our future.
And that's been the trend here late in these races. We've had these cautions that have just plagued us to the end. Parker White, last thing he wants to see, because, again, we talked about it. We saw that one restart really put Grant Bolin right down his back for the lead. And Parker White, he's shown the long run speed to be able to gap and pull away from these guys, and doesn't want to be put in that position any more than he has to be, if I had to guess.
I'd say one car to pay attention to, Ryan Doucette. There was a lot of cars that pitted in front of him. He ended up gaining about 10 positions, staying out. So you can see him here at the tail end of the line. Fortunately for him, everyone behind him is going to have fresh tires.
Running 14th right now is at 077, and 2 wins on the year for one Ryan Doucette. However, has not been able to join us for many races so far. And again, besides those 2 wins, lots of zeros on the board for one Ryan Doucette that have kept him out of the playoffs. But when he's here, he's had tons of speed. Again, won back at Dover, won the Barr Visuals FTF 500 earlier this year. But I'll let you say the line, Ben.
Here we come to the choose cone. They choose.
Once again, and we got a different camera angle here for Josh Mendoza. He's figured something out. Gonna be able to see if they make contact very definitively, and he got ready. Looks like he was about to bop somebody, and
yeah, I'm going through right now. So far, so good. Everyone's been clean.
Good job from everybody there to not stack us up. Josh Mendoza looks like he'll be not issuing anything here.
Doing a great job at race control.
And again, thankful to have him up in the booth, so our admins aren't sidetracked while they attempt to battle for the win here in the Brickyard 400K.
All right. Better pull those seatbelts one more time.
Yep, that's exactly what Larry Mack said.
Crazy. Oh, they're wrecking in the back.
Oh, Hamilton Akabueze. This is gonna derail this derail this restart as Akabueze makes contact. Wetz is in it. Spencer Ray and cautions.
This might be another wheel connect. Hamilton just turned left.
Actually, Hamilton Akabueze says that he accidentally downshifted.
Oh, no.
And we'll try to get a replay here on what happened to Hamilton Akabueze to derail this restart. But Rex not even limited to green flag runs anymore.
Yeah, you're going to see here, he's going to shift down. That's going to lock up the rear tires. And it just sends him down.
Yeah, and he made contact down on the inside. It's a 61 car. Jordan Dworchik.
Crazy misfortune.
Well, doesn't. I mean, Akabueze hadn't had the best of nights for his standards, but further derailing him there in that money line machine.
He's going to be getting an EOL penalty. Looks like he already pitted. He might have had some minor damage. But we're still doubled up here. And coming into turn 4. And it's a good thing you pulled those belts tight. If you're in the back, you better pull them again.
I guess it worked out for him, but either way, gonna be inside of 10 laps to go here for Parker White. Does Grant Bolin have anything figured out? Ben, tell me if you've heard this one before. Gonna be Parker White and Grant Bolin leading us to the green. Pace car pulling off the pit lane. We'll have to watch that 148 machine as they come down the front stretch here at Indianapolis. Green flag back in the air. Parker White has a fantastic start, able to clear himself. The mid-pack, though, battling like crazy. Again, 7 laps to go as they go into turn number 1.
Yeah, the first 2 were able to step away. But meanwhile, in the back, they are having some trouble. I see Botafuco having some trouble there on the inside. Everyone so far so good. We see Jordan Worth go on the inside. He keeps it straight. In front of him, 3 wide. And we're coming into 3.
Lots of near misses. Again, Jordan Worth, a fantastic job there. Look at Parker White and Grant Bolin, who have driven themselves within their own bubble. Half a second back to Kevin King right now off of turn number 4. Oof. Getting close to that wall there, and I think one car did tag the wall, maybe David Cabrera, and that's really stacked up everybody else. Wyatt Tinsley stuck in line behind him.
Blocking.
Oh, and yeah, look at, that's Sebastian Marin. David Cabrera, I believe, tried to make a move underneath him. Or it might have been Nick Miller, actually, in that number 19. Pete Frisch, sideways off of turn number 1. There's still 3 wide.
There's a checkup. There's a checkup. Everyone's straight. Oh, in front. There's a wreck.
Botafuco spun around in front of the pack, and right now everybody going to have to pull their evasive maneuvers. Almost saw that wreck happen a little further back, but it was, in fact, up inside the top 5. And tough break for Daniel Botafuco, who finished 41st last night. Just ran up inside the top 10, and now with 6 laps to go, is going to have to make all of it back up. And we'll get the replay for you on what ended up happening there for that number 13 machine. But a tough break for Botafuco.
Yeah, he's going to be falling back even further because I think he's going to be getting an EOL. You'll see him enter here on the outside, and here on the exit, he just gets loose. Tries to save it, bounces off the car underneath him, turns himself around.
And Botafuco
just one of those
right
tough
there
things here at the end.
tags the wall there. Gets Hawkins outside, or to his inside, excuse me, and on the outside, it's. We've seen how loose these cars have been. Very easy to just barely overdrive them, and.
Yeah, just like with the real life cars, with that small sidewall in the tires, makes it hard to save the cars, and iRacing does a great job in representing that here in the sim racing. It's really hard to save the car once it breaks loose on you.
Parker White out front here. Do want to take a second here once we clear the pit stop allegations. We do. Kevin McAdams, I know you're no longer in this race, but saw you right in and wanted to pick your brain about a few things here. We saw you crash in turn 4 earlier, a really tough break. But I mean, are these things just driving super loose right now, or what do you think could have been the catalyst for that last caution there? Oh no, we might not have Kevin.
Kevin?
Kevin! I know he's at his computer. I don't know if he doesn't have his mic turned on or what. All right, I think Kevin's... I don't think Kevin's with us. All right.
These things
Never
happen.
mind. No interview. You don't get an interview. Tell Kevin to turn his mic on.
Unfortunately for Botafuco, it's going to be a one-lap hold.
And it's a tough break for Botafuco, and again talked about his misfortune last night. He was involved in a wreck early with Nate Stewart and derailed his night from the get-go. And looks like a late race wreck this time is going to derail his night. Right now, again, after running up inside of the top 5, top 10 all night. And he now runs 36th. And I don't believe has a chance to be caught by McAdams, who runs 16 laps down. And 37th at the moment. So, again, when you have a night like that, especially up inside the top 5 of points, and then back-to-back runs, and again, last night's run 41st knocked him out of the top 5 entirely. He runs 6th now, and not going to do him any favors with Blake Reynolds, Wyatt Tinsley right on his tail.
Yep, at this point, it's going to be sorry, I just had race controller Josh Mendoza in my ear as the field chooses that time.
Parker White once again choosing this inside lane, and the inside lane has been dominant, as is normally the case here at Indianapolis. Seen draft and side draft be very effective all night. Now I guess the question becomes, does Grant Bolin have any tricks up his sleeve here within the last 3 laps to get right on by that 011 car?
He's just going to have to anticipate that restart. We saw it work out a couple cautions ago where he was able to stay side by side by Parker White, but the last restart he had trouble getting going, and Parker White just was able to clear him before they enter turn 1. It's all going to be about if you're able to stay side by side in turn 1 and try to hope that Parker White gets loose underneath. That way you're able to make that outside work for you and take that lead position.
Going to be interesting to see if Grant Bolin's able to anticipate that start. Has to be very careful, though, as to not jump the restart. And it's in leader Parker White's hands on when to control that restart. Either way, pace car going to dip back down to pit lane. And Parker White, Grant Bolin, your front row, as has been the case all night. 3 laps to go from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the bricked up Brickyard 400K. Grant Bolin did a fantastic job. They're side by side going into turn number 1, still side by side behind them as well. Parker White does a fantastic job there in turn number 1. Grant Bolin going to tag the wall just a little bit. Brian Mercurio and Kevin King going to get their battle sorted out for the time being as well as they go down the backstretch.
Oh, we got Reckon in the back.
Oh, and Wyatt Tinsley right there. Logan Helton.
Oh, they're still going.
Tinsley.
Arca brakes here in the back.
Logan Helton gets Chris Wetz there. I think Logan Helton is just going to alt F4 in the middle of the backstretch. Sure does.
Yeah, Logan Helton and Wyatt Tinsley got into each other on the exit of 2. We'll do a
Wyatt
breakdown
Tinsley.
once we get a replay here.
Yeah, and like you said, it's between just Wyatt Tinsley and Logan Helton. Logan Helton will no longer be a part of this one after this one. And just a little bit of contact there. Can't quite tell who is at fault there, if that's just a racing deal, but Logan Helton slides back up. Tags Matt Spalding, Plessel, Chris Wetz. You see, there goes Helton. He disconnects.
Yeah, if we're able to get an overhead, it looks like Wyatt Tinsley got loose underneath Helton. That caused Wyatt Tinsley to go up into him. As we see here, that 20 car just gets loose, goes up in the 63. 63 goes down. And just nowhere to go for some of these cars in the back.
I'm not sure, and we'll talk to our official, one of our professional race control admins in Benjamin Easterday here, but cause of the yellow was given to Logan Helton there. And just in your view of that wreck, I mean, what would you assess there?
From what I saw Wyatt Tinsley get loose first and get into the outside of the 63. But race control is hard, and it's one of those things where you just don't want us to be the ones that choose your fate, and you don't want to put yourself into that position. Because my opinion might be right, might be wrong. But that is the final call, unfortunately. And that's the tough role that you have as a race controller, as Wyatt Tinsley's slow on pit road and got Daniel Fockingham to run into him in pit road.
And Tinsley with lots of damage. Race control clarifies that is officially called on Wyatt Tinsley. It did come over chat that it was on the 63, but gone back over, and it looks like Wyatt Tinsley will be assessed the penalty for the cause of that wreck. But either way, puts us in an interesting position where Jacob Hitz was with us. We'd go back to what we always say here, but back into overtime. And overtime plays a role in a lot of these Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series races. You got to know how to navigate these late race restarts if you want to have a chance at winning. And Parker White has been so dominant on the restarts today. Hard to think that Grant Boland might have a shot at taking it back from him here.
Yeah, and another thing to pay attention to is if we have two cautions within 3 laps, the field will go single file. So if we get another crash here under green-white checkered, I believe that will make us go single file.
And got to be very careful there. No takers down on the pit lane for the time being. And hearing, again, from a few different drivers, Justin Malillo provides an update on his wheel situation, says it is completely bricked. I think it's fitting considering our race location here today. Here is the Choose Cone camera, which has been in high demand from a lot of our WINSTEL folks.
Yeah, I hear that WINSTEL uses it a lot.
And looking around right now, nobody tags that white line. Oh, and
one clean, it looks like.
Hold on. Looks like talking about Mendoza's cam. I don't know if we still have Mendoza up, but if we do, we might be able to check in on him just shortly, just for a second. There he is. To qualm everybody. You see there is Mendoza, and he is ready to get on the restart here. There you go. All of our folks at WINSTEL, they just wrapped up a race at Darlington, and Sean Peleg came home with the win there. The 2003 Southern 500. And we'll have a win to settle here. The bricked up Brickyard 400K at Indianapolis. Just quickly,
right.
Ben, Parker White, Grant Boland, who do you think gets the advantage here?
So far, it's been Parker White. I'm going to say it's the same, Parker White.
We'll see right here. Parker White gets going on that restart. Green flag back in the air, and he does, in fact, get the jump over Grant Boland. Boland going to have to chase him back down once again. Still side by side behind him, and Kevin King, Brian Mercurio. 2 laps to go from Indianapolis. Do they make it back to the line?
So far, so good. Not really seeing much damage being caused so far in the back of the field, as we still got a battle here for the lead. Parker White, Graham Boland, as we got battling side by side behind them.
Down in the short chute right now, Grant Boland about a 2/10 deficit to Parker White as they exit 4 for what will be the penultimate time. Oh, Boland gets really sideways, stacking up. Oh, one car up, almost upside down. Gonna bring out the caution here. Spencer Ray involved as well. And it was almost to the white flag for Parker White. And gets derailed just like that. That's Dworchik in that 61 car who almost went upside down out of turn number 4 here, but a very similar wreck to, I think, what was Kevin McAdams earlier. Might have just tagged. This is Art Reimer up above him. Don't know if he just got loosed. Yeah, he did, and just gets hooked into that outside wall. Almost goes up and over.
Yep, just that 61 got loose and almost got into the fence.
Oh. Right there, yeah. What a hard hit there for Dworczyk.
Concussion protocol.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have a motion rig in that thing. Either way, see Budafuco, he slides into the pit lane. We'll get what happened at the very beginning of that wreck right there. You see that car Dworczyk go up, and then just Spencer Ray comes back ahead of him. He was almost clear of it. And again, has really derailed his day. Yeah, Dworczyk writes in, and he says he is not released from the infield care center. So we'll hope that gets resolved shortly in the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But yeah, things happen, as one would say.
That's correct, and we're on green-white checkered 2 of 3.
And for anybody wondering, the new FTF restart rule, where back-to-back cautions within 2 laps, which would those would trigger single-file restarts, that is not in effect for our overtime periods. So we will still be double file and still have the opportunity to choose Our interview didn't work earlier with Kevin McAdams. Somebody who I sure hope is at his computer right now. Take a minute to talk to, and that's leader Parker White. And Parker, you've just been purely dominant after that first stage. You think you can hold him off for one more restart here?
It just depends on how good of a restart Graham gets. I think if he can hang on my right rear, he'll have a good shot at it. If we get another game at Checkered, it might be a little tight on fuel, but as long as I just keep saving under caution, I'll be fine.
That's Parker White. He, a man of few words tonight, as he is right now laser focused and still trying to hold off Graham Bolin. His, I think, primary objective at the moment.
And the field's coming here to choose this time. A nice choose cone cam back at race control here at the track.
Back by popular demand is our Josh Mendoza cam.
Some,
are we gonna see somebody live? I think it's Frisch.
I think Michael P. Frisch ran over the line.
And we're going to be able to see a live black flag issued to Michael P. Frisch, who is now end of line for touching that white line. He'll have to catch up now with anybody else. But you see, there's Michael P. Frisch. Glad we cut to that one and get our first EOL of the night on the Mendoza cam. And now our focus is going to have to shift back to one Parker White, and you can see he and Graham Bolin for a second swerving those tires in unison together, trying to put any sort of heat into them for this, what should be 2-lap restart, unless we get a caution beforehand.
Again, it is all on that restart, whether or not Parker White runs off with the win, or if we have a battle.
Now, pace car once again gonna roll back onto pit lane here, and we'll have to see if Graham Bolin has anything in the tank here for Parker White. He's had a few good restarts sprinkled in here, but now he needs one right now the most. Green flag back in the air here at the Brickyard. Parker White does a fantastic job of keeping Graham Bolin from getting any sort of side draft there. Sebastian Mayer and Kevin King side by side, the field roaring off at turn number 2 now.
Parker White is pulling away. He is gone as the rest of the field is battling for the rest of their position. Still side by side there for P6. 3 wide now as they enter turn 3. It's going to be tight.
Doucette's got to be very careful not to get into Kwame Scott. This group still 3 wide. Thinking about 4 for a second. Don't have room for that. Cabrera going to dodge all the way back down. Still 3 wide. Kwame Scott almost goes around, but it looks like they're going to make it.
Looks like we're going to take the white.
And there it is. Race is official. Parker White, 1 more lap around the Brickyard. Does Grant Bolin have anything in the tank for him? They go through the short chute here in turns 1 and 2. Bolin still falling behind. Does he have anything here on the backstretch? Side by side behind him for third. This is Kevin King and Sebastian Marin.
We got big battles going on for around P10. Everyone's blocking each other. Everyone's almost wrecking, but everyone keeps it straight so far. Right now, it's all for P3 as Parker White is running away with it.
Wrecking a little further in the back. Doesn't matter, though, to race leader Parker White. And coming out of turn 4 for the 9th time in 2023, Parker White gonna win here in the Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series, and he completes the weekend sweep. Parker White, first place 2 nights in a row as they wreck big, block the front stretch. Chris Wetz is around, Art Reimer in it. Hamilton Akabueze, Jordan Worth gets tagged in it at the last second. Man, and Graham Bolin has to commend Parker White, who has just taken this league by storm. 1 short of the all-time FTF season record set by Taylor Morgans back in 2020. And gotta think he'll win more than once later this season if this pace continues.
That's correct. An amazing stretch of wins for this season.
And
doing 2 different disciplines of road racing and oval racing.
And if anybody's curious, this is dating back to Nashville in late June. He won there. Chicago Street Course came second to Bobby Zielinski. Chicago won at the Oval. Had a rough go of it at New Hampshire, finished 21st. Won again at Pocono. Then another rough going at Michigan after being involved in a wreck late, 22nd. Won again last night at the Indy Road Course. And has now completed the sweep on the Oval today, and he'll continue to burn it down. You see all the way down this front straightaway. Deceptively long one here at Indianapolis. Either way, gonna get a real quick replay of what happened. This is Seth Knowles' incident down the backstretch that we alluded to. He and Jake Poulin. Jake Poulin got the wall, went into Knoll, and then Falkingham. Something happened again with him. I don't know if his wheel broke again or what. But he just dove left, and Seth Knoll at that point decided he just wanted to go for a ride in the infield, and don't necessarily blame him. This is further up front. You see Cosmin Ionescu gets turned, and it's just pandemonium on from there.
Nowhere to go. Got a wall on the inside wall, and the outside track is practically blocked as everyone tries to avoid get that position.
Look at Jake Poulin was full send through there coming to the line. This is an alternate angle here. You'll see Cosmin Ionescu goes around. Doucette gets tagged, and more contact there. Zach Hudson does a fantastic job of making it through. Watch this red car of Poulin. Full throttle, sends it through. Coming to the checkered flag. Jordan Worth gets tagged up there at the end.
Ugh.
Sums up what was a chaotic day here at Indianapolis, and for a large majority of it was calm and collected, and then coming to the end. This is on board with Jake Poulin. Again, does not get out of the throttle, I don't think.
Driving to survive as he gains a lot of spots there.
Almost got Cosmin there too. Last Poulin.
Man, oh man.
Picks up a few spots, and now we'll look at the rest of this in the bricked up Brickyard 400K. Parker White, 9th win on 2023. Grant Bolin comes up just short. Brian Mercurio, a great 3rd place finish after being 2nd last night. Kevin King, 4th place. Brandon Hawken rounds out your top 5. Sebastian Marin, 6th. Nick Miller comes home in the 7th position. David Cabrera has a fantastic run. Comes home in 8th. Blake Bryant, 9th. And Kwame Scott going to round out your top 10. And you'll see 11th here, Matthew Zwack, Phil McCandless, 12th, David L. Brown in the 13th position, Lucas Plessel, nice rebound to 14th, Zach Hudson as well, Ryan Noraki in 16th, Jonathan Oshalim, 17th, Cosmonau Neshu, we saw him get tagged in that last corner, he finishes 18th, Jake Poulin with a crazy drive to get back up to 19th, Blake Reynolds rounds out your top 20, and then Daniel Falkingham, what a run for him, his wheel broke after he was running inside the top 5, top 10 all day. 21st for him tonight. Jonathan Oates as well, we saw involved in a few. 22nd, Sabilski spun early, comes back to a 23rd place finish. Michael P. Frisch, after getting the live black flag on the Mendoza cam, 24th. Art Reimer, 25th. Ryan Doucette in the 26th position. Jordan Worth, 27th. All these guys involved in that last wreck. Wyatt Tinsley made up some spots on that wreck with Knoll at the end. 28th for him tonight. Matt Spalding, 29th. And Akabueze, 30th place. And you'll get the rest of it right here. Seth Knoll, last car on the lead lap. Chris Wetz comes home 1 lap down in 32nd. Dworchik, after almost going upside down, 33rd tonight. Spencer Ray, 34th. Budafuko, a tough run back-to-back nights. He comes home 35th. Logan Helton, 36th. Kevin McAdams, 37th. Weileman, 38th. Nate Stewart, 39th. Rounding out your top 40, Chase Durham. And just a few more cars here. Joshua Chin, 41st. Josh Parker, 42nd. Dylan Basin disconnected early after being the pole sitter tonight. And then Justin Malillo will round out your field in 44th after he had more wheel disconnect problems. So enough of those starting results. Let's talk with your winner for the 9th time, Parker White. And just talk us through it. We were talking to you, trying to hold off Graham Bolin there, and did a fantastic job, I'd say.
Yeah, I was able to clear him into 1 on that last restart. I think there was about 2 or 3 restarts where he was able to get a really good jump and just hang on my right rear down the front stretch, and then we'd just be even into turn 1. I think most of the times I was able to clear him through turn 1, but there was one time where we were side by side for basically the whole lap. But that caution came out with about 20 to go, and I had about a 2-second lead over Graham, and I had the tire advantage, so I knew that I basically would have the race wrapped up right there, but obviously I knew that we're going to get another caution because coming down at the end of it, someone's going to wreck, and I knew it would most likely end up staying out, which that happened. There are just going to be more yellows, and there were, and it's kind of interesting the way the tire fall off plays out here is because around lap 5, I think, is when the tires really start to come in, and we had one run where there was like half the field that hit and half the field that didn't. And I thought the tires that we had up front were actually going to be better than taking new tires. So I'm glad I played the strategy right. And I was able to just kind of play the restart game right because I knew that if I didn't do it right, then Graham was just going to hang on my right rear and then we actually have to race it out. So happy that I could just complete this sweep of the weekend here at the Brickyard.
Complete the sweep you do, and dating back the last 7 races, you've gone home in victory lane 5 times, and you started off this season strong and have somehow come out of the gate here in the summer even stronger. We'll look ahead just for a moment. Next week, you go to Watkins Glen. We know you have the skills on the road courses to get it done. Darlington and then Daytona. I mean, do you think you'll be able to break 10 by the start of the playoffs here?
I don't know about the start of the playoffs because I think the cutoff race is Daytona, but maybe next week at Watkins Glen, even Darlington. Darlington's one of my favorite tracks, but I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out because really anything can happen in these races.
Again, this is good for you and the Tour de fans as well as the overall points championship at this point. 9-time winner this season, Parker White. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us, and congratulations on the win here tonight at Indy.
Yep, thank you.
That is Parker White, and now we'll talk to our second place finisher, and Grant Bolin. He is now with our own Benjamin Easterday.
Hello, Graham. It was all about the timing on the restarts. You were able to do it one time, but for the final one, unfortunately, Parker White was able to beat you on that restart. Was there anything you could have done entering turn 1 after he cleared you that you could have done to try to win this race?
I don't really think so. Like, even if I mean, he was doing a really good job of blocking air. Like, the only way I would catch him if I got like below his left rear and got air on my nose. But uh, he was really fast, and I don't think I would have really done anything unless I got to his outside again and pinched him on entry. That's the only thing I could have done to really get around him. But other than that, it was a pretty good race for me. I don't really run here that much, but I like the league and the people that run it.
That is a good point. You finished second out of all these. These are pretty much the top drivers in Cup Series, if you exclude the Pro Series right now. So how do you feel about finishing second to pretty much top 50 of the oval drivers here?
I mean, it's fun. It's like good to do these leagues because, or it's just really FTF, but just it's competition. I like competition. So, and Parker pushes people a lot in these fixed setup races. So it's fun to show up and race against people that race it all the time.
Well, congrats on your P2 position there, and we hope to see you more over here in FTF to be able to see you do more and have you be able to push everyone else to be better and great as you finish P2 here.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Graham.
Second place finisher. We'll go ahead and speak to our final member of the podium here tonight. And after a second place last night for you, Brian, good to talk to you here. Third place and a great run for that 41 machine tonight.
Yeah, that was a fun time at a fun race at the fun track. Probably had no business being up there after starting all the way back in Narnia. So that was not fun, but started to kind of figure it out maybe about halfway through the race and just kept working my way up, kind of settled into the, bottom half of the top 10, and the restarts coming along. I got some good fortune on some lane changes, kind of put myself in the fourth, fifth position a few times, and was in fifth there, really on the white flag coming out of turn 2, and I was helping out Kevin a little bit on those restarts, seeing if him or Graham might have had anything for Parker, and then hit Kevin with maybe a little ankle breaker down the back stretch. Him and I were side by side for that final half lap, and I think we had a pretty damn good finish. So being able to be on the podium out of that's pretty neat.
And that'll make it your 9th top 5 on the year for this 41 machine. I mean, and again, we asked Parker about his upcoming tracks that he really liked. Darlington. Are there any that you got circled right before the playoffs that you could think you can sneak a win at here at Watkins Glen, Darlington, and Daytona, or do you think maybe that first one will have to wait for inside the playoffs when everybody is back leveled and reset?
I think Watkins Glen would have been pretty neat, but unfortunately, I will not be around for the next race. So maybe Darlington and Daytona. I guess we'll have to see if anything goes my way during those races. But in the meantime, we'll just keep doing what I've been doing. I guess I've been doing a little bit better in FTF than kind of feel like I had a down stretch for a few races, and I guess I'm sort of rebounding. We're on the up and up a little bit, so hopefully we can put it in victory lane. I told y'all last night that at this point just give Parker White double digits before the playoffs start, and I said he's gonna win. Indy's a draft track, but Parker's gonna win. And guess what happened? Parker White won. So good for him. He absolutely deserved that. He drove a hell of a race. Graham gave it his best, but yeah, I think Parker will probably make it 10 at Watkins Glen. I don't know. Maybe something will happen. I won't be there. But either way, we'll just keep driving these e-race cars and see how everything shakes out.
Well, he snuck through there, and congratulations. 3rd place tonight, getting hot at the right time, is one Brian Mercurio.
Appreciate you, boys. Appreciate FTF for putting this on. And yeah, it was a pretty neat doubleheader we had here. And whatever, I guess, Darlington, I'll be back, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys more this season.
And can be sure that driver, the number 41, will talk to us more as this season rolls on. Just about to get to the playoffs next week for FTF, going to be at Darlington on Saturday, September 2nd. Do want to take a quick moment just to highlight a few more of the upcoming events on our schedule. This Thursday at 2:45 p.m., the Dallara qualifying series at Brand Hatch, their finale, going to be live here on FTF. Then later that night, Road to Pro, round 4 of 7 at Michigan in the Craftsman trucks, rather. Me and James Pike will be there along with Zach Johnson for that one. Then this Friday night, FTF 1 finale from Auto Club. Going to be a fun one with the IRO1 cars. And then next Saturday, going to be live at Watkins Glen for what should be our final road course of the season right before the playoffs. And that is, once again, this Saturday, August 19th in the Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series. Ben, however, we just had a heck of a race here at the Indianapolis Oval. And what are your final thoughts before we wrap up here and go home?
We had great battles. We had some lulls in the action, but all around, I think that was a pretty entertaining race.
Either way, fun one. And Parker White continues his domination here. 9th win on the season. We will see you this Thursday for the Dallara qualifying series. That is, again, at Brands Hatch. And we hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you for spending Sunday night on FTF.GG. We'll be seeing you.